Some shows talk about one team. Other shows barely talk sports. This show will talk Packers, Brewers, and Bucks. Every day. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily with Steve Sparky Pfeiffer on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network.
It is that time again. Welcome in. We are live from the Wisconsin State Fair inside the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Steve Sparky Pfeiffer with you. Charlie Usen back in the studio in Hales Corners. Thanks for tuning in around the beautiful state of Wisconsin. If you're listening to us on WNFL in Green Bay in the Fox Valley, or how about the game in Duluth Superior, or the Fan in Madison, or how about the game in Wausau, and, of course, the Fan here in Milwaukee, and where Wisconsin State Fair is located. Thanks to everybody for tuning in here this afternoon. Brewers coming off of a tough one last night. We'll talk about that. John Steppe from the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel, Badgers beat writer. We'll talk to him coming up in the second segment today. A great piece by Jordan Rodriguez on Matt LaFleur and her sit-down with Matt LaFleur about a week or so ago in The Athletic today. A free read, nonetheless. So we'll dissect that coming up in the 3 o'clock hour. Charlie Sounds of the day. 4 o'clock hour, hear a little bit from Matt LaFleur from earlier today. Of course, get you things that we missed on today's show. And an interesting development in Minnesota at the quarterback position that has people asking a lot of questions about really what has happened to the quarterback position in the National Football League. We'll do that coming up at 4:20. So all of that is straight ahead. First, we start off with we'll start off with yesterday with the Brewers. And, you know, there was one highlight in the Brewers game yesterday.
Fly ball left field. It's back. It's still back and gone for Yelich. Feeling the Southern California weather, and Yelich goes deep for the 8th time this year.
That was the highlight. That's all we had for offense. Churio had 3 hits, highlight courtesy of Brewers TV. That was the extent of it. The Brewers had 3 runners in scoring position all night. Now, in comparison, the Padres had 4. So it wasn't like they were getting on base against Logan Henderson all night, because they weren't. All 5 runs were scored on home runs yesterday. 2 home runs by the Padres, a home run by the Milwaukee Brewers. I was on earlier today, 9 to noon, with John Kuhn. He went off to training camp practice. Rami's on vacation again. So it was Brandon Stein and myself there for about an hour before Mitch came in for crosstalk. And I brought up to them, that kind of is like what a playoff game will look like. Not that it had the intensity of a playoff game or the fans were in it like a playoff game, but from the idea of low-scoring game, not a lot of hits, and it's based on one swing of the bat could potentially change the whole outcome of the game. And, Charlie, this is why I think from a national perspective, people look at the Brewers and question whether or not they can make that run. Same thing that happened last year. They questioned it, and they got beat by the Dodgers in their long ball. And now I think going into this year, I think the same question is still lingering as far as, you know, will they get beat because of the lack of the long ball?
I think the other question that pops into my brain now, too, with Logan Henderson last night, seeing Jacob Mizorowski over the weekend, do the Brewers pitchers give up too many, like, no-doubt homers? Are there too many of their contacts that they give up, just so strong contact that it's going to result in a homer? Is that going to be a problem moving forward for them against teams like the Padres, teams like the Dodgers, where the offense may not even be able to help out if they were playing well, if the Brewers pitching gives up so much through the long ball?
I don't think I really care about what they give up through the long ball, only from the perspective of if they're only giving up 3 runs a game, you should win. I don't care if it's 3 solo homers, if it's 1 3-run homer. If your pitcher gives up 3 runs in about 7 innings, those are games you have to win in the playoffs. You just do. I'm not saying you got to win a 10-8 shootout against the Dodgers. Not at all. If they score 8 runs and you lose, well, that's on the pitching. That's not on the hitting. But what happened last night, that was clearly on the hitting. And if we're being frank, in the month of August, this offensive lineup has been putrid. If you just go up and down, Jackson Cherry, until about a few days ago, he had not been going well as of late. Now he looks like he's turned the corner, right?
Players in baseball, yeah.
Right. Luis Lara, he's hitting like $150 this month. Yelich and Contreras both hitting under 200 this month. 75% of this lineup is hitting under 200. I think Turang and Churio and maybe Bowers, we'd have to look, are over 200 or 250. Turang's at like 252 or something for the month of August. So all of these guys are struggling essentially at the same time for the Brewers, and yet you still sit with a comfortable lead in the NL Central at 5 games. You still sit with a comfortable lead with the number 1 overall record, and you are struggling on the offensive side of the field right now.
So Jackson Chourio is hitting 343 in the month of August so far. Out of other players that are getting like full-time at-bats, Jake Bauers is hitting 292 in the month of August. Bryce Turang 256. The next best is David Hamilton 217. It gets pretty bad from there on out.
Yeah. And that's it. I mean, everybody else sucks. So that's the thing. We can be negative, right? I mean, Brandon Snide today, in a week, the Cubs and Brewers could switch places. No, they're not.
Why is he so negative all the time?
It's not happening. It's absolutely crazy talk to think that's going to happen. Now, could the Brewers lose 2 out of 3 of the Padres? Sure. Do I think that'll happen? Not really. But could they? Yes. Could they then lose 3 out of 4 to the Dodgers? Yeah, they could. They could go 2-5 on the trip, and it would not be a good trip. Are they going to flip spots with the Cubs over that? No, that's not going to happen. They're not flipping 5 games in 7 days. I mean, that's just not happening. I think we all should change our view on how we're looking at this, because Tim Allen is guilty of this as well. We need to start looking at this from a different perspective of there is no way this team is going to be this cold for 2.5 months. There's just no way. Everybody in this lineup outside of 2 guys are going to stink for the rest of the year. It's not happening, folks. This Brewers offense is going to get going here at some point. Now, I really don't care if it happens this month. I don't care if it happens next month. I'd rather have it happen the last 2 weeks of September and be red, scorching hot going into the playoffs. That's really what you want to be. So instead of being so negative and downtrodden about this offense struggling right now, be celebratory and happy that, yeah, offense stinks right now. But guess what? Still best record in baseball. Still best record by a lot in the National League. The Cubs are playing out of their minds. They still can't catch us, even though we aren't playing well offensively. It should be looked at from a positive perspective, more so than from a negative, the world's going to end, we're going to blow the division, and we're going to get bounced out in the playoffs right away in the wild card round, and blah, blah, blah. It's just everybody take a breath, man. Settle down and just let this thing play itself out. They are not going to stink like this for the rest of the year, Charlie.
No, they're not. I mean, you look at their record, so they're still 6-4 in the last 10 games. They still have only lost the 1 series so far in the second half of the season to the Giants earlier.
That's pretty good last time I checked.
Yeah.
1 series loss.
Yeah, I think they're doing all right. They're doing okay. They're going to be able to figure it out. I believe in this offense to figure it out too, for sure.
Now, the other thing I think we can look at right now from a Brewers perspective is, as much as I expect the offense to turn around, I also don't expect there to be a real lapse with the Brewers pitching at this point. I mean, this starting rotation is legit. Now, let me separate that. The front 4 of this rotation is legit, right? Miz, Harrison, May, and Henderson. Those front 4 are legit. Drone and Gasser, we'll take whatever we can get out of them as long as Murphy decides to stay in the 6-man rotation. Come playoff time, neither one of those guys are starting a game. I'm guessing Drone will come out of the pen. I don't know what they're going to do with Gasser. But those front 4 are as good as any front 4 you're going to face in baseball outside of maybe the Dodgers. Now, from a release standpoint, McGill and Uribe have been unhittable for over a month right now. They're not giving up runs. They're keeping runs off the board every time they come in. We went over that last night on the leadoff show. They're just crazy. Lockdown stuff. Ashby was getting tired, getting worn down. Now he gets a little bit of a rest finally, and what? He looks refreshed. He looks good again. And you take a breath and go, okay, he was just tired like we all thought. So you have Ashby back there. You're going to add JoJo Romero, who is going to give you another veteran lefty out there, a completely different look than what everybody else is giving you because he's throwing like 82-mile-an-hour curveballs or whatever the hell he's throwing. Or sliders.
That's going to suck so bad going against Miz, and then all of a sudden right. JoJo Romero comes out and is throwing that.
Correct. The difference in velocity is going to screw people up. There's no question. He does not throw that hard, but he gets guys out. Professional pitcher. Henderson doesn't throw all that hard either, right? He doesn't throw hard. He's throwing 92, 93, and, peeking out at like 94, 95. But you know what? He gets guys out. And JoJo Romero's that same type of dude. And again, he's not coming off of an elbow or a shoulder or anything like that. That dude is simply coming off of a situation where he had an appendectomy. And then, you go from there. That's not going to affect his pitching. Now, what I am a little bit discouraged by was the update yesterday from the Brewers said end of August for Romero. I thought it was going to be more like middle of August since this happened in July, but apparently not. So end of August, so you have him for September. He's going to be super fresh because nothing's been going on with his arm for about a month now, so he should be ready to go. Trail Northside, you're up on Wisconsin Sports Daily with me, Steve Sparky Pfeiffer, out here at the Wisconsin State Fair. What's up, Trail?
Hey, Sparky, how you doing?
Good, man.
Hey, I hear you, and I'm somewhere in the middle. I'm not where Brandon Snyder's at, but I'm not quite where you are, and the reason why is because we've seen this story a couple times already before. And this is what I was afraid of. This is the Brewers' Achilles heel, at least to me, in my opinion, at the trading deadline. I know they did the pitching thing or whatever, but I always said that it was a bat. That's really what it was, because this team has a propensity to go into these long droughted funks. And yeah, they'll get out of this funk, but I mean, we're talking a month and a half before the playoffs get here. So we got to figure out if the team is going to be, going on that hot streak going into the playoffs and hoping that's how it goes, instead of them getting hot again and then going cold when it matters the most. But I got a question for you. Can they, because I was saying this when they didn't trade for a bat, I was hoping that this could be a chance that they could do this. Is it possible that they can bring up some of those young guys who've been hitting a lot of homers or whatever this year, like Fisher, like Madej or Blake, what's his name?
Blake Burke.
Baker? Yeah. Can they bring those guys up and still, like, towards the end of August and the beginning of September, and they still, like, it doesn't count against their time? Do they have some type of what do you call that? Where you got
you can expand rosters, but then they'd have to be put on the active on the 40-man, in which case then you have to make a move in order to get them on the 40-man. Now they're going to be able to expand by 2 roster spots, so they could use 1 or 2 of those roster spots essentially to bring them up in September. Chell, thanks for the call. We're going to get more into that at 3 o'clock. As far as what would you want to see them do? Who would you want to see them potentially bring up? And if we think any of this could potentially help. The problem is bringing up in September means they are not playoff eligible. You have to have them on your roster by the beginning of September. So you would have to have them before the roster expands on, September 1st or whatever. That's the thing here. So let's say you bring up Luke Adams from AAA Nashville on like September 2nd or 3rd or whatever it is, and he just goes off. Can't play him in the postseason because he wasn't there enough time. He wasn't there early enough. So that's something else to be considered here. If you want to see if somebody can help you in the postseason, then they've got to get here by September. If this is just to give guys a rest and give these guys a big league taste, then that's fine. Back in the day when it was Fielder, Weeks, and Hardy and those guys, they expanded by 7 or 8 or 9 guys they expanded the rosters by. So then what happens is you draft Ricky Weeks that first year, boop, he's up on the big league roster in September when they expand by 7 and 9 guys. Way more young guys got brought up, especially on teams that weren't very good like the Brewers, and then they just let them play and get a bunch of big league at-bats and get that experience. And then they changed that a few years ago. And in my opinion, it hurts the smaller market teams that aren't competitive and can't compete because you don't get those free looks necessarily like you would and have been able to get, in previous years. Let's go to Block in Waukesha. You're next on Wisconsin Sports Daily with me, Steve Sparky Pfeiffer. What's up, Block?
I have to actually give you some credit here for you being positive for once to open the show. So I really appreciate that. To kind of echo what you're saying, they are 15-8 since the All-Star break. And that's hitting about 200 as a team. Something that I'm noticing, and I guess to diagnose the offensive problems a little bit, because I think we can all agree, if you look at the back of the baseball cards, it's not exactly matching reality right now.
Yep.
For me, I think the biggest problem, especially with Contreras and Yelich, is swinging at pitches actually into the strike zone. When Contreras goes well, he goes the other way a lot, and he swings at a lot of really good pitches, and that was kind of Luis Lara's calling card as well. But when the whole lineup is doing that, then I think that you really have something. So if I had to give an opinion on what like the problem is, I think start with that and things will get better.
Luis Lar is another guy. He's hitting like $150 in August. That's what I'm saying. This whole offense stinks out loud right now, and they're all stinking at the same time. Cheerios turned the corner. Bowers has been playing well, but for the most part, they've all got into a funk at the exact same point. Block, thanks for the call. There's no way they are all still staying in this funk for the remainder of the year. And I brought this up yesterday too, which is this team is not winning a World Series if both Yelich and Contreras both stink offensively in the postseason. I mean, there's just not happening. And you don't want to blame one person for why you keep losing in the postseason. But by God, Yelich is the highest paid player on this team, and he never plays like it when they get to the playoffs. His stick never shows up outside of the first year. That has to change. If they're going to go far, Yelich has to show up and be that guy. And if he's not going to be, then you need a couple other guys to do that. But Contreras definitely cannot stink, and Yelich. These guys were supposed to be, your 3 and 4 hitters at the beginning of the year, and now they're batting 6 and 7 because they're so bad. They're not going to be this bad all year. They will get, I shouldn't say Yelich. Contreras will get better. Yelich, I hope, gets better because it would make everything a lot easier for this team going forward if he gets hot. They desperately need him to get hot.
Well,
without question.
I think with Contreras, too, the other thing that keeps you hopeful with him is that he's had clutch moments this season, at least. I know Christian Yelich had the pinch hit homer and stuff, and that was cool and all. But all his other home runs have been early in games. It hasn't really been in high leverage situations. Everything Contreras has done well, the things that you remember have been in those high leverage situations. So I have a lot more faith in him being able to pick that up moving forward here, especially going into the playoffs. Christian Yelich just has that history of not being able to perform in the playoffs, and so far this season hasn't performed when it counted most. I think that all worries me a little bit. Pat Murphy alluded to it yesterday in his press conference when asked about both those guys being 6 and 7 in the lineup, and he said that they have to start playing better, and we're going to have guys starting to line up here, getting ready to take those spots if they can't figure it out.
No chance. No chance. He's not replacing Yelich. I don't know.
You don't believe it at all?
You have a better chance of winning the lottery than Yelich not starting in the postseason. There's no way that's not happening. There's no way that's happening. Hey, are you looking for a college where you can excel in the classroom and on the field? At Bryant Stratton College's Wauwatosa campus, you can compete in the NJCAA Division II athletics with more than 20 men's and women's teams to choose from. Keep playing the sport that you love while earning your associate degree in business, healthcare, criminal justice, or digital marketing. Athletic scholarships are available for those who qualify right now. Looking for track and field athletes wherever you may be listening, whether you're in the state of Wisconsin, maybe you're checking us out in Minnesota or in Iowa, Michigan, Illinois, wherever. It could be any state in the country. If you are looking for your son or your daughter to continue playing, this is your way to do it. And if they're good, they can get athletic scholarship money to go along with it. Visit BryantStratton.edu. Again, BryantStratton.edu and discover how Bryant Stratton College is built different for you. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from the Wisconsin State Fair inside the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky with you. Up next, John Steppe, Badgers beat writer for the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel. Welcome back. We are live from the Wisconsin State Fair. Yeah, it sucked earlier. It was raining and blowing and all that stuff. Now it's beautiful out. It's a little breezy, but sun is out. Everything is dry for the most part. A couple of puddles, but for the most part, everything is dry. People walking around in shorts and relaxing a little bit out here at the Wisconsin State Fair. Plenty of room for you. Come on out, hang out with us out here at the Wisconsin State Fair. Also, don't forget, if you come out here to the Wisconsin State Fair, make sure to stop by our booth. It's day 6. And our friends from By the Yard are giving away a $2,000 in-store credit towards your purchase of 4 custom Adirondack chairs and 2 side tables. To register to win, simply stop by the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network booth right outside the Wisconsin State Fair Expo Center and scan the QR code. Plus, we got free fans we're giving away as well while supplies last. We'd love to see you out here. Love to see this guy here, John Steppe, who's the Badger beat writer for the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel. Follow him on X at JSteppe1, joining us now on the guest hotline. Powered by Gruber Law, one call, that's all. And you can see his smiling face right there on X, on YouTube, on Instagram at WI Sports Radio. Also on the Fan Milwaukee Facebook page. We stream all these bad boys live. If you're on YouTube, like and subscribe, people. Like and subscribe. That's what it's all about. Man, I should have just had you come here to the State Fair and come hang out with me for the show today. So I don't even know. Do you live in Madison then year round, or where are you based out of?
Yeah, I'm based in Madison, but I'm originally from New Berlin. So I'm jealous of you at State Fair right now. I have a taste for a cream puff. It's a lot easier for me to get there now than when I lived in Iowa.
No, I get that. Yeah, lots and lots of cream puffs. What do they got this year? The Marciano cherry cream puffs, I think this year is the new flavor. Plus they got chocolate and they got the regular ones. But the Marciano cherry, I think, while supplies last each day, once they run out each day, I think then that's the end of it. But yeah, that's the special cream puff this year. All right, let's talk about this Badgers football team. Seeing lots of good stuff coming over on social media. Wanted to get you on to kind of tell me what I should believe and what I shouldn't believe. I first want you to give me your little personal scouting analysis of each of the quarterbacks that you've seen so far in Badger camp. We know who the starter is, Colton Joseph. He's been given the job. It's not a competition. I understand. But I'd like to get your thoughts on how he's looked and how his backups have looked, because a lot of the talk has been, this is the most talented quarterback room that Fickle's had at this point. So is it living up to the hype so far in practice?
Yeah, I'd say there's definitely depth. I would say that with each practice, there are throws where I say, oh man, Deuce Adams really had a nice ball there. And then there are other places where I say, okay, this quarterback room still is a work in progress in some ways. So I'd say, I wouldn't necessarily, pencil in the 10-win predictions or anything like that. In terms of Colton Joseph, the thing that really excites everybody is how he is probably more of a dual threat quarterback than most of the starters that Wisconsin has had going into week 1. And, that's something that, there's a lot of potential with in terms of what that opens up. I'd say he's had some really good throws, and there have been a handful of them too where, the throwing ability is going to be the key part for Colton Joseph. There's no question about his mobility. It's going to be a matter of, can he make the throws against Big Ten competition that he needs to be able to make? And you kind of look throughout that room and you see other, Deuce Adams, another guy that can move with the football. He had some nice throws today. Ryan Hopkins, of course, is a freshman that has a lot of hype. I would say he's impressed me. He impressed me back in the spring. He's impressed me also in the fall with some of the things he's been able to do. Carter Smith is probably, that's a name that doesn't exactly have as much buzz. But good mobility there. A couple of throws probably that he'd like to have back. So that's kind of the brief synopsis of where this quarterback room is at.
So John, hold on a second. John, hold on. I'm going to interrupt you because this is what I do. I interrupt people, including in my own household at home when they try to talk to me. I want to know about Hopkins. I'll go back to him. So highly recruited quarterback, all that freshman. How mobile is he compared to, say, Deuce and Colton Joseph and those two guys? Is he more of a pro-style quarterback than, that dual threat guy?
He can also move. Now, I say this with the caveat that they're not actually hitting the quarterback. So all of a sudden, quarterbacks look a lot more mobile sometimes in that setting than other times. But no, he's shown the ability to move with the football. He's made some good throws. Like the other quarterbacks, he's probably made a few throws that he could take back. But no, I've liked what he can provide from a mobility standpoint as well.
Let's talk about the wide receiver room, because this is another room that's been heavily made over thanks to the transfer portal and everything else. I saw a big day the other day from what's the dude's name, Malachi Coleman, the Nebraska transfer. He looks the part. Tell me what he looks like in practice.
Yeah, he made some really good catches yesterday. I thought that was probably his best practice of fall camp. It's interesting. It seems like if you were to ask me this question every day out of fall camp, it might be a different guy that has stood out the most. It hasn't necessarily been, Coleman had, fantastic practice yesterday, and then, not as much of a, presence today. Today, in terms of the wide receiver corps as a whole, I thought there were probably a few more drops than they would like to have. That certainly will be something to watch. Chris Brooks did a really good block. That's an important thing with the way that Jeff Grimes wants to play football. So those have been some of the things that have kind of stood out to me through these first 5 practices, kind of at that wide receiver position, where the talent has not always been there. Going back to Coleman, I think he does have a lot of, he could be one of those, dynamic players in terms of the things he can do at that wide receiver position. But I'd say overall I'd say the defense as a whole probably had the better day today in practice.
Talk with John Steppe here on Wisconsin Sports Daily, Badgers beat writer for the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel. Follow him on X as JSteppe1. I want to talk about the running back room. Malachi Dupree is somebody that I've liked since he got here, so that's my guy, right? But I have a feeling, not been up there, I just don't know if he beats out Abu Sama, the transfer running back.
Yeah, I really like Abu Sama. That's probably one of the guys I'm most bullish on so far through fall camp. When you look at the variety of skills that he brings to the position, his ability to do things in space too. He was on the Athletic does their college football freaks list, and he was on there and deserves every part of that as well. So I think he can do just enough different things at that running back position that, he seems to be the strongest candidate. Now, Darian Dupree had a great, as great as you could be in terms of that offensive line that he was running behind. So he's had results before, but I actually like the depth at this running back room. You look at Palmer, you talk about Juju Pope, somebody that nobody was really happy with. He's looked good in fall camp. And, these are small sample sizes. That doesn't necessarily mean, things can change still a lot now, between now and Notre Dame game. But you like the depth that they have at this running back position. Now, you would have said that last year, and the offensive line didn't necessarily do their part. And you'd also say injuries got in the way. So they have a lot of depth, but that's also probably what you want to be hearing right now. Just given, football is obviously a physical game, and there are going to be injuries at that position.
I want to talk about Eric Mateos. This dude's getting a lot of love. This dude's getting a lot of praise, and I'm all for it. I mean, maybe he is like one of the best offensive line coaches in all of America. That very well may be true. But now he's got this group of offensive linemen that, if we're being honest, have not been great the last couple of years. That was a staple of this Badgers program for a long time. They recruited a lot of in-state big dudes to come and play. Fickle got away from that for a number of years. And now here we sit going into this year. Tell me why it's going to be different, John Steppe.
That's the really big question here for Wisconsin football.
That's not a lot of confidence. You're not giving me a lot of confidence. Sparky, it's going to be different because instead you say, well, it's a big question. That does not give me confidence.
Well, right now, they aren't at full strength. But I would say, like today, there's probably no question that the defensive line got the better of the offensive line. So does that just mean that the Wisconsin defensive line is going to be really good this year? I do think that, somebody like, a Hammond Russell, the West Virginia transfer, could be somebody to really watch on that defensive line. But, the offensive line still has some work to do. You have some challenges. you look at it, and Mateos is their third O-line coach now, going to Fickle's fourth season. And that is kind of the key fact that I keep in mind whenever I'm looking at this offensive line, because one of their rivals, just won the best offensive line, the Joe Moore Award last year, and you look at it, and that was a group that had a lot of continuity in terms of their coach and their personnel. This is a group that's trying to do it without continuity in personnel or coaching, so that's not an easy thing to do. You see how the pieces could fit really well together. Kevin Haywood is, I think, somebody that everybody is pretty optimistic about with good reason. So we'll see kind of how all those pieces fit together. It's tough when you aren't necessarily at full strength, just from you only get so many practices before Notre Dame. But that's going to be the key position to watch, probably more than quarterback is always number one everywhere. But you put offensive line number two pretty easily there.
I mean, I would think if this offensive line struggles again, Grimes' offense is not going to get to do what he wants it to do, and there's going to be major alterations to what they can and cannot pull off. So you may still not see the full version of what Jeff Grimes wants to run an offense if his line can't block.
Yeah, that's really the key, because you can't be a physical team that runs the ball, that does all those other things. And if you don't have that, that puts a lot more pressure on Colton Joseph and Colton Joseph's arm in particular. So it kind of is a chain reaction if you don't have this offensive line playing at a Wisconsin standard. And of course, Notre Dame is a tough one to start off with, and then the rest of that non-conference gets easier. But regardless, you're going to have to be more physical. You can't be dominated at the line of scrimmage like how they have in, say, the Iowa games the last 2 years. That's going to be really the question if I were to pick one going into this 2026 season.
I'm going to be loser Badger fan and tell you that if they can keep it within 10 of Notre Dame, I would be ecstatic. Because I just have this feeling it's going to be complete embarrassment at Lambeau Field in the beginning of September. And Badger fans are going to be like, just fire this dude and can we just move on because this isn't working. They're not going to give him an opportunity to see what he does in the Big Ten. It's going to be, no, we're done. You got embarrassed. You embarrassed everybody in the fan base and alumni again. We're done. Now, obviously, they're not going to fire him after one game, but I struggle to get my hopes up. Oh, here's goal number 2. Keep it within 10 and don't get your starting quarterback hurt for the year. I guess that would be the other one, because that's something else Fickle hasn't been able to do, is keep his starting quarterback healthy for an entire season. John Steppe, Badgers beat writer for the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel, joins us on Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from the Wisconsin State Fair, out here till 5 o'clock today. All right, one last one for you. Give me, I don't know, 1 or 2 names on the defensive side of the ball, not the linebackers, that could be playmakers, difference makers on the defensive side of the football that we can keep our eyes on going into the season.
How do you know I was about to say Mason Posa?
We already knew that. Yeah.
Yeah. Javon Robinson in the secondary. I like a lot of the things that he can do. And then, the guy I was mentioning earlier, Hammond Russell, the West Virginia transfer on the defensive line. He impressed me. Those are 2 kind of newer names. In terms of somebody returning, Perkins also on the defensive line, I thought he had a good practice. So I think this defense, if you obviously linebackers, you're not worried about. But if you get that defensive line also, back up to a Wisconsin standard, that can make a really big difference this season.
There he is, John Steppe. All of his great work. Follow him on X at jsteppe1. Of course, read all his great stuff in the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel. Does a great job covering it. John, thank you so much for coming on, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, always a pleasure. Have a cream puff for me.
Yeah. Okay. You know what, Steppe? We should get you into the cream puff eating competition next year. They have a celebrity cream puff eating competition. You can't use your hands or anything like that. And it's the fastest one to eat a cream puff. It's not like you have to eat like 10 or something. It's just the fastest one to eat a cream puff. I've done it before. If you like cream puffs that much, I think we should get you into it next year. Mark Stewart could cover a practice, and then you can come do the cream puff eating contest.
That is a very tempting offer right there.
I'm going to get it done. Mark my words. You're in next year. All right, there he is, John Steppe. He's going to go practice eating cream puffs in his spare time. I don't know, Charlie. I don't know how he would do in the cream puff eating contest, But I do know this. In order to be really good at the cream puff eating contest, you have to really like cream puffs. Because if you're kind of like, on cream puffs, bad idea. Do not do that. That's not a good idea. Like, you have to love cream puffs. And if you love cream puffs and you're not afraid to get messy, it can be fun and you might win the damn thing. You get a big trophy if you win the thing.
You get your name on it too. I've seen it around the studios around here because Radar won it a couple years ago, I think.
Yeah. Last year.
Yeah, last year. I like cream puffs are okay. I like them if you get them right away, like really fresh. Like you eat it really fast and then it doesn't get soggy. If it sits even a little bit, then it starts getting soggy towards the middle, and I just can't eat them then. Like I'm not a person who will take a box of cream puffs home.
No, neither am I. No, I'm not a big cream puff guy myself, and I did that cream puff eating competition like 2 or 3 times.
How'd you do?
But not good. Not good.
Did you just give up, or were you trying?
I tried as best I could, but I had I wasn't close to even winning one of those things at any point. No, I was not good.
Who'd you lose to each time?
I was a lot younger. I don't really remember. I don't know. Probably somebody that's retired 20 years ago. It's probably who I lost to. Because I was like in my 20s, early 30s, probably the last time I competed.
You were in
one
your
of those
prime.
Things.
You should have been great.
Correct. And I was still not good at it, even in my prime. But now, again, back in those days, I was weighing like $130. So, like, my appetite of eating and how much I could eat was way smaller than what it is now, Charlie.
Oh, I see. $130. Last time I weighed $130, I was probably a 5th grader.
Dude, I was 130 or 135 all the way till I was 30 years old. And then after I passed 30, that's when I started putting on weight.
That's like the landmark. So I'm probably going to start
30.
putting on weight then. All right.
At 30. That's what it was. I don't know if it's that way for everybody, but that's what
I'm
it was.
assuming it's that way for everybody.
It could be. Let me tell you about my friends over there at Wendy's, baby. It's the return of the fan favorite everyone's been asking for, the pretzel bacon pub cheeseburger. It's back at Wendy's. Fresh, never frozen beef, creamy beer cheese, Munster cheese, applewood smoked bacon, and crispy onions, all on a pretzel bun. Add aside delicious bacon pub fries to create a combo so good you'll feel like you're at an actual pub after one bite. Limited time only. Take a quick time out. Come back. It is Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from the Wisconsin State Fair inside the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky with you. Welcome back, Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from the Wisconsin State Fair inside the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. How about that Potawatomi Sportsbook? Potawatomi Casino Hotel, Milwaukee, 2,000 square foot center screen. Over 30 sporting events can be seen on it at one time. If you're a UFC fan, they got UFC fight nights at the Potawatomi Sportsbook, and the sound is cranked way up for those. Now, 2 levels of seating, all kinds of different seating variations, whether it be big recliner chairs you can sit in, big booths you can fit like 8 people in, table, high tops as well. Then, how about the kitchen? Full menu at the Potawatomi Sportsbook kitchen. All-day brunch going on as well there. Homemade pastries and desserts. Over 40 different beers on tap. Over a dozen different specialty cocktails. It really is a no-brainer. And if you're a Brewers fan and you don't want to pay for parking, no problem. They got you there, too. They got shuttles that go to and from the Potawatomi Sportsbook. All you have to do is make a $5 wager or more same day in the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Tell them that you'd like to take the shuttle after you make the wager. They'll give you a bracelet, and you are ready to roll. For more information on all of that, all you have to do is go to Potawatomi.com. Again, Potawatomi.com. We've got a few minutes here. I want to go over something that I saw on ESPN that, we always talk about NIL and all of that stuff. And there's a piece on here, and what they did was they went around and they found average prices, NIL-wise, for the different positions right now in Division I, like in the Power 4 level type schools, right? And there's comments in here from different people. So, for instance, Kyle Whittingham, the head coach at Michigan now, quote, I can tell you right now, with NIL rising 20, 30, 40% a year, it's not sustainable if we stay in the path that we're on right now. Said one ACC GM, you hear and read so much about everyone having $40 million rosters, and every tackle is making $2 million, every corner is making $1.1 million, then every edge rusher is making $1.5 million. That's not reality, an ACC GM said. As been talked about, the Badgers were not deemed a $40 million roster, Charlie. The Badgers were deemed a $25 million roster. According to the Badgers, they believe they're in the upper half of the Big Ten when it comes to money spent on their roster. Whether or not that's going to be good enough for Luke Fickell to actually get this team back to a bowl game and be competitive again, that's the biggest question right now, Charlie.
Yeah, and I think it's a huge question that the Badgers are going to have to continuously answer every offseason. Northwestern Football, this is from Pete Thamel, has received a commitment for a $35 million gift from the family of Liz and Dick Uline, who is set to come the next 3 years. The donation is intended for holistic football success, including recruiting support and broader program needs. So other programs in the Big Ten are already starting to respond to these other teams coming up with these packages.
Hold on. Time out. Rewind. Uline gave money to who?
Northwestern. I knew you were going to talk about
Uline is from where?
Wisconsin.
Kenosha. What are we doing? What are we doing, Madison? They're in your state, and they just gave money to Northwestern, a $35 million gift. And Madison, y'all got nothing out of this? We talked about this, and we've been talking about this. They've got one major donor right now who's older than dirt. They have nothing else besides that one guy. If and when that one guy says, I'm done and it's time to move on, or I'm too old for this, I'm out, whatever ends up happening, where is that next line of money coming from? The Uline family. Now, that would have been a heck of a little connection to make as far as getting that money coming into Madison. That's just, you cannot have that happen if you're the Wisconsin Badgers at this point. With the Uline, too, you see Uline buildings all the way down 94. There's Uline building over here, Uline building over here. I think they belong to the Kenosha Country Club, all that stuff. And they're donating money to Northwestern and not to the university in the state that they live. That is something else. All right. Average prices, according to this article, average quarterbacks playing Division I football right now, NIL money-wise, are making between $1 and $3 million. The average deal for Power 4 starters to exceed $2 million this year. So if your kid is a really, really good quarterback and is a starting quarterback, say in the Big Ten, your kid is probably making about $2 million a year, again, as a college quarterback.
Nice. That's a pretty great deal.
That's crazy.
I'd be pretty happy about that as an 18-year-old or 20-year-old, because you're probably a little bit older as the starter there. I kind of find that hard to believe too. I know we're talking about these $25 million rosters and that being the upper echelon of some of these teams, but I feel like with 52 guys on a roster, at least in a lot of these programs, maybe even more sometimes, I'm not exactly sure what the limit is at D1, but you have so much money to float around to other players. I feel like that just can't be true for every team.
Well, I think it technically kind of looks like it is. Running backs, $300,000 to $800,000. Elite backs, deals could be worth $1 million or more in a Power 4 conference right now. So one ACC GM, if you want elite, you're going to be paying $750,000 to $1 million for a running back. Crazy stuff. We'll talk more about the Brew Crew. We're going to talk about if there's somebody who would want to be called up by the Brewers from the minor league system, who would it be? We'll discuss that next. Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from the Wisconsin State Fair inside the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. See Sparky Pfeiffer with you.
Some shows talk about one team. Other shows barely talk sports. This show will talk Packers, Brewers, and Bucks. Every day. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily with Steve Sparky Pfeiffer on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network.
We are live at the Wisconsin State Fair inside the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios. Powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. See Sparky Pfeiffer with you. Don't forget, coming up tonight, the leadoff show gets you ready for Brewers-Padres Game 2 from 7:30 to 8:30. First pitch at 8:40. Then after the last pitch, you'll make the switch to the Potawatomi Sportsbook post-game show with the franchise Tim Allen and myself tonight. We'll be on there till 1 a.m., just like we were last night. Looking forward to that. The Wisconsin State Fair Parade going on right now in front of the booth as they're walking by. I'm not sure what all is going on here, but there's a lot of cool stuff, interesting characters in the parade, Charlie.
What do you mean you don't know what's going on there? You're sitting right in front of it, aren't you?
Yeah, the dancing grannies are in
Oh,
front
there
of
you
us.
go. Cool.
I didn't know the
How did you
correct
not get
name.
in the parade?
Did not know the correct name to call them, so I was just kind of waiting to see which, because there's more than one group like the dancing grannies out there right now. There's probably Southeastern Wisconsin. I think there's like 4 or 5 probably groups that I've seen.
Do they have like just different variations of the name, or is it always just
Like
the dancing grannies?
No, they're different
It's
groups
like
of
the
women with
elder
different
leapers
names.
and something like that. I don't know.
See, that's why you shouldn't talk much, because you say stuff like that and you're going to get in trouble. I want to have my job tomorrow, man. I need my job. I got a family to raise. I can't be having you losing my job over you making fun of elderly people. Okay, so lots to get to here in this hour. I've got a Packers email that just came in. Packers have officially signed safety Trey Dean III and safety Trey Fluellen and release Drew Bibber and Carson Barnhart. Dean, first-year player out of Florida, originally signed with the Jets, is undrafted free agent. On May 5th of 2023, spent his rookie year on the Jets practice squad. Dean spent part of the 24 offseason with the Chiefs, part of the 24 season on the practice squad of the Browns. Spent 2 seasons in the UFL playing for the Defenders and for the Louisville Kings and St. Louis Battlehawks. Dean will wear 35. Fluellen, first-year player out of Middle Tennessee State, originally signed to the Saints practice squad on 2024, released by the Saints during 25. 26, he played for the Dallas Renegades of the UFL. What is going on here?
Yeah, I was going to say, what's passing you now?
Oh, that's a street cleaner.
Oh, okay.
No, I'm trying to figure out why are we in such a hurry to sign multiple safeties here?
Well,
I mean, I understand Bullard's in a walking boot. I get that, but he's playing corner more than he's playing safety.
I think a lot of other teams are looking at safety right now. The Chicago Bears just announced that Kobe Bryant's going to be out 4 to 6 months with his knee injury.
I thought you were going to say weeks. I didn't see the months mark on it.
Months.
So he's not playing this year. He's done.
He's going to be done for a while now. So they're going to be looking for safety help at the moment, because right now they're just rocking with a rookie safety out there in Dylan Thieneman, and then they're going to have to find other people to help rotate through that room. I think you look at just across the league in general, the safety market has become pretty thin as a lot of these guys that were at the top of their game have started to retire, kind of regress a little bit. Now you're starting to see a new class come in and make names for themselves. So I think right now you're trying to find all the valuable available free agents at that position, A, to help yourself out because you got guys in walking boots right now, but B, to also take those options away from other teams across the league that are all in a similar position, if not worse.
I wonder if you could play Keyshawn Thursday night at safety, give the Bears something to look at on tape, see what they'd say. What do you think? Keyshawn Nixon at safety?
Yeah, I think we can make it work. I think that would I'd try it. Why not? It's better than having nobody out there, I guess.
You know, that game Thursday night, Packers and Steelers, should be a fun one. The nice thing about it is that game all the important people will be out of that game, if there are any important people in the game, will be out of that game by the time the Brewers play the Dodgers in L.A. So you really will not have dueling telecasts going on of us having to pick to watch between the Brewers-Dodgers game and the Packers-Steelers game. Because even if you get starters to play in this game coming up on Thursday night.
Jordan Love is going to play in the game that was announced today.
That's good. Even if they do play, I would assume they will not play more than 1 or 2 series in this game. Now, we've seen past years where they play till they score. So if that's the case, please be aggressive. Please don't let him be out there for a full quarter because you can't get the ball in the end zone. Please be aggressive. Like, so aggressive that it's play act on top to Golden for 60 and a score. Jordan Love, your day is done. Sit down. And then we see Tyrod Taylor for a half, and then whoever else they want to throw in there after Tyrod Taylor's fine. Yeah, McCord's looked okay in camp, I think. I'm anxious to see McCord and see what that looks like. All right, it is 3 o'clock, Charlie, so what does that mean? What do we do here?
It's time to talk about the Crew. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network.
All right, so there's been all this talk about the Brewers minor league system and how well they've all been doing and so forth. And you got Blake Burke moving up to AAA. They're going to have to make a roster move at Nashville. I've not seen anything come across. Maybe Charlie can look and see if that's come across yet. There's no minor league games on Monday nights, so they did not have to make a move yesterday, even though the report was out Sunday night. So today, though, if that report is true, that Blake Burke is coming up, some roster move will have to be made. What minor leaguer or minor leaguers, maybe you have one or two, would you want to see the Brewers bring up here to give a chance on the major league roster right now? If you had your brothers, I'm like, dude, why can't we just bring this dude up and let's see what he does? If you've got that guy, who would it be for you right now that you'd want to see? Maybe you're like, I don't want any of the minor leaguers. I'm happy with this roster, right? You're 5 games up in the division. You got a comfortable lead with the best overall record over Atlanta and the Dodgers and those guys. Just leave well enough alone. Don't mess this up by bringing up some young rookie to potentially come up here and struggle. Who would it be for you? Nicolay Law Talking Text line 414-677-1250, 414-677-1250. Now, there is something else that needs to be discussed as part of this, because the guys I'm going to give you potentially have an upper hand over everybody else as far as potentially getting called up. These are the minor league prospects that the Brewers are going to have to put on their 40-man by mid-November of 26 in order to protect them from the Rule 5 draft. If they do not do that, then the names I give you will potentially be available for other teams to select and take out of your system. The deal with that is if they take them, they've got to play them all year. You got to play all year on that roster then, and then they keep them and move forward, going forward with their system. Here are the names right now of the notable prospects. There's more than this, but the notable prospects. Luke Adams, a guy that we think may get a shot at coming up here at some point, playing first base for the Brewers AAA affiliate. Dylan O'Ray, speedier, I guess, kind of shorter, smaller size infielder, like a second baseman type guy. Brock Wilkin, who has been struggling big time at AAA for the Milwaukee Brewers, third baseman. Mike Bovey, first baseman, infielder. Some pop, some power to him. Tate Kiner, left-handed pitcher that some people were high on coming out of spring training. And Brett Rakowski, a right-handed pitcher for the Brewers. Those are the guys that you're essentially looking at and saying, okay, if we don't add them to the active 40, we potentially could lose them in the Rule 5 draft. So when you start talking about what guys make sense to come up to add to the 40, if you're looking at it already and saying, well, I'm going to have to add this guy anyhow, I can do it now, get him on the active 40, and potentially use him down the stretch run here in the postseason. You got Baby that you just got to play second base, and you could obviously move on from him at any time whatsoever. Nobody's going to remember Baby. So that will be fine. What are you laughing at?
Where'd that nickname come from?
I made it up just now. You don't like it?
No, it's dumb.
So anyway, I mean, you can replace, like Bye Baby.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. I tried, man. I'm not a stand-up comedian like
you're
Robbie.
You're not Tim Allen. Tim Allen's just got it on lock, man.
Yes, he has nicknames on lock. Yes, that is true. So anyways, my point is he can be replaced on the roster. Nobody will miss that dude. And you can move forward there. So who would it be for you? Nicolay Law Talking Text line 414-677-1250, 414-677-1250. What about you, Charlie?
So first, it looks like the Nashville Sounds on the 9th place Freddie Zamora on the 7-day IL. So I don't think they have to make that move until he's off of that IL. So right now, Blake Burke is just in place of him. Then in about That was retroactive to August 8th. So they have about 4 more days till we're probably going to find out what that true roster move is.
I hope that what they're going to do is that they are going to put Burke at first base to let him play defense. I hope they're not going to bury Burke at designated hitter. I hope that they will now let Luke Adams play third base and see if he can handle it defensively. And if he can, I hope at that point they determine that they're going to try and go bring him up and see if he can do a better job offensively than what they have there right now with David Hamilton and Joey Ortiz. Because then you have a guy that can play third base and first base in Luke Adams, kind of similar to Vaughn, but hopefully better defensively than Vaughn, even though Vaughn's been fine the last 2 days. And then if he is that guy, now maybe you can get him some run for the next month and a half at third base and see if he can handle, being on this postseason run and potentially starting some games at third base. He's not going to be better than Joey Ortiz defensively. I agree. But at this point, would you rather have the bat or the defense at third base?
Well, and
that, I think, to me, is the biggest thing.
You haven't even been playing Joey Ortiz anyway, so it's not like you're getting any value out of his defense, so you might as well just bring up the younger guy and rotate him into that group there. And then I also think Luke Adams is probably the best option right now for next year as well when looking forward to the way the roster is going to move around a little bit. Chances are Jake Bauers isn't coming back to Milwaukee. He's going to get a big contract somewhere else because he's had a really great season. I think you look at the third base position and say Joey Ortiz hasn't been the answer for Pat Murphy, at least, and that's not going to be what it is moving forward. And David Hamilton's been all right, but he's not a long-term option either. That a guy like that could come in and be the backup at both those positions, potentially the starter at one of them. And then I think you have a really exciting option, and it's very Brewers to plan ahead like that and think forward to how this is going to affect the roster over the next year or two. And I think he has the biggest benefit to the roster over the next year or two.
I would love, and I know this isn't going to happen, but, man, I would love to see Blake Burke up here as a designated hitter next year instead of Yelich. Like, if this goes sideways and Yelich is like, I'm done, I retire, I'm out, to be able to either put Vaughn or Burke into that designated hitter role and let the other one play at first base to really give yourself some major pop in that lineup to see how Blake Burke would do with that, I'd be interested. Luke Adams, for those of you that don't know, 6'4", 233, 22 years old. Righty, obviously, playing first base or third base. 215 at-bats this year at Nashville. 260 average. 407 on base percentage. 951 OPS. Again, 16 homers, 42 RBIs, 8 stolen bases. 951 OPS. Charlie, I could live with a 951 OPS at the major league level if that's what he can provide.
Well, and I don't know if he would provide that at the major league level. He's still a younger guy that's going to be coming up and facing a whole different level of pitching than what he's facing right now at AAA. Yeah. But Cooper Pratt started to figure it out a little bit. You've seen Luis Lara. Yes, he's struggling this month, but he's had his moments where you can see that he's going to be a solid big league hitter. It's not like he's completely helpless up at the plate. Like we've seen some other guys come up for this Brewers team in the past and be in that spot before. He looks like he's got the tools. I think Luke Adams can come up here and be that type of player for this Brewers team, but also if he comes up and struggles at first, I don't want people freaking out right away. Like give him some time to develop still. He has the tools. He's going to show you he has the tools. It just may not all come together within the first 3 weeks of him being a Major League Baseball player.
A 715, why another first baseman? Well, listen, he's a third baseman, but they've been playing him at first, but he's a third baseman by trade. Like if you go Google him and look at him, they list him as a third baseman. So you'd be bringing him up to compete at third base so Vaughn doesn't have to play third base to see if you can get more offense out of that position than what you're getting currently. That's why Luke Adams. Now, to that point, the 715 says Fisher and Made. Yes, I'm all about Fisher and Made as well. I think if you made this a poll question, those two guys would be the most two popular names on the survey or poll if we put it up, as far as who everybody would want to see. They don't want to move on Fisher, I don't think, because of his strikeout rate and his average has been falling. And Made, I don't know what they're doing. I don't know if they know what they're doing, to be honest with you. I wish Matt Arnold and I could have a conversation because I'd love to know what exactly is the game plan for Made here. Like, what do you see in 27? Because they're going to be playing, even if the big league teams aren't. Minor leagues continue to play. So where is Made playing next year in 27? And if you tell me shortstop, then you're going to have to pull me aside, give me some liquor, and tell me what the plan for Cooper Pratt is if Madej is eventually the shortstop. Because if Madej's the shortstop, and if Fisher's at third, and over at first is Blake Burke or whoever that's going to be, what's going on with Cooper Pratt? Where is he going? I will say this. I think maybe the long-term plan is Madej's going to second. But you have 3 years of Terang.
Mm-hmm.
So they're kind of slow rolling this at this point. You have Pena coming, who's a step behind Madej. He also can play shortstop, third base, second base. So that's another guy that's en route to the big league level too, also blocked by Terang at second base. I firmly believe that they already know they cannot sign him long-term. They cannot afford to sign him long-term. So that may be why Madej is getting so played right now. They're kind of biding time to get up here. Then at the same time, Fisher's coming with him. So does Fisher go up before Madej because he can play third base and Madej gets stuck in Nashville biding his time, waiting for 2 years before they can get him up there and then potentially trade Terang going into his last year? Like, I don't know. And when you trade Terang, the world is going to end in this state because Bryce Terang is one of the biggest fan favorites we've seen in a while.
Yeah, I don't know if it's going to end, though. I don't know if he's that much of a fan favorite.
Huge.
Like, I think people like him for sure. I think he's been a really great player. But I also think people understand now, 3 years out from that moment, what the Brewers are going to have to do because they're not going to re-sign him under the current structure of the MLB and the CBA. Things can change. Things might change if all of a sudden there's the salary cap and salary floor and the Brewers need to start paying players that Bryce Terang could potentially stick around to be a Brewer for a longer period of time than we expect. But every Brewers fan, for the most part, that's been paying attention to this roster and to what the front office has been doing, knows that the Brewers aren't going to pay him and that it inevitably is coming. And I don't think you can be mad when it does happen because you knew it was happening 3 years ago.
The Wisconsin Sports Radio Network is proudly outfitted by Burkhardt Sporting Goods, our official apparel partner. Outfit your team or company with custom apparel today at BSG1881.com. If you run a business and you want to have your logo on some swag for your people to wear when they're out and about or wear when they're in the office meeting with clients or whatever the case is, and you're trying to figure out how to get it done, I don't care where you're listening, they will take care of you. Check them out today, BSG1881.com, BSG1881.com. Coming up next, Jordan Rodriguez wrote a great piece, her sit-down with Packers head coach Matt LaFleur in The Athletic. We'll discuss that next here on Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from the Wisconsin State Fair inside the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky with you. Welcome back. It is Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from the Wisconsin State Fair inside the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studio, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. See Sparky Fiber with you. Yep, that's the same street cleaner from earlier. If you hear it going by, the parade made a loop around the park, it must have, and now it's coming back the way that it came. So we're on the out and on the in, both sides where we're set up. Just outside of the Expo Center is where we're set up. Come on over, say hi. We're here. We still got some fans left as well. And our friends from Buy the Yard are giving away a $2,000 in-store credit towards your purchase of 4 custom Adirondack chairs and 2 side tables. We got 2 Adirondack chairs out here that people have been sitting in throughout. To register to win, simply stop by the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network booth right outside of the Wisconsin State Fair Expo Center and scan the QR code. And while you're here, check out one of our few free fans, which we've had some children coming up. They open it up and they're like, ooh, a Frisbee. And then they go with their brothers and sisters and go play Frisbee with our fans. So it really had dual purpose. I'm not sure our promotions department thought that that's how they were going to be used, but that's how I'm selling them to little kids is, look, I got a nylon Frisbee for you. Go play.
That would have been my first thought, too. I love throwing things. Who doesn't love throwing things?
Yes. As long as you're not throwing them at me, we're fine. I got no problem with you throwing things. Can I just maybe vent a frustration that I have?
Sure.
You know, I'm old.
Yeah, we know.
And as we get older, you know, it's embarrassing sometimes to say that you need help because you can't figure something out. And this is a rather long-standing issue that I've had, I guess, personally, that can be embarrassing like it just was in the men's restroom just now.
What, you couldn't figure out how to use the toilet or something?
Close. Close. I struggle a lot with those sensors on those sinks with the water that comes up. I struggle. Like I was just in there. I swear to God, I was for 30 seconds putting my hands in, pulling my hands out, putting my hands in, pulling my hands out, trying to get the stupid thing to turn on. Like I don't. There has to be a magic way to do this. There has to be a correct way. And for the life of me, I literally have to walk away and then kind of like stick my hands in from the side in order to get them to turn on. Away. Huh?
You got to sneak attack it?
It's sneak attack it. It's the only way I can get the water to work in there, man.
All right, so every time Sparky's late whenever he's on Ramon, I have to open up a segment because he's fighting with the sink and the sensor because he can't get the sensor.
It takes forever. And it's either that or screw it. I'm just not going to wash my hands and go back out there. But I don't want to do that. That's disgusting.
No, yeah, that's
I'm not going to do that. Right, that's gross. So I'd rather just fight with a stupid thing. So why do we have these again? Because people are irresponsible idiots that don't know how to shut off water in a bathroom.
That's exactly what it is. You got to be able to limit the water usage, Sparky.
It's just so stupid. Like it just drives me nuts. And I can't figure it out. I can't figure it out. I'm a grown man and I cannot figure out how to work those damn sinks.
I blame it on the companies that make the sensors. It's not your fault, Sparky.
No, it probably is. Every other man in there knows how to work it but me. No, it's definitely not their fault. It's definitely my fault.
I was just trying to make you feel better.
For not being able to figure it out at this point. Just so beyond dumb. Okay, over at The Athletic, a great piece by Jordan Rodrigue on Matt LaFleur. It's a free read. I highly advise you go take care of it and check it out. We've had Jordan Rodrigue on before, right? I don't remember what we had her on for. Do you remember what we had her on for?
Not exactly. Let's see if I can go back.
Well, it was like 2 years ago we had her on, and she was really, really good. Anyways, so she went to Green Bay and hung out with Matt LaFleur in his office. And something that I can relate to. Matt LaFleur talked, Charlie, about his anger issues.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And how he was there all by himself in the morning. Nobody else there. And he's trying to get this printer to work to print out his call sheets and so forth. And it wasn't working. It was glitching. So Matt LaFleur's response was, I'm going to yell at this damn thing to get it to start working. And then realized that yelling at the printer was not going to change the situation. And he was yelling at something that he could not control. Charlie, I know I can't control certain things, but I still yell.
Yes, you do. Your initial reaction a lot of times is to yell, and then you're immediately fine like 5 seconds later, and then you're okay. You took the 5 seconds to think about the situation.
Yep.
You realize it's either not that big of a deal or that you can figure it out and fix it every single time. I think that's how a lot of people are in general. I don't think you're alone. I don't think Matt LaFleur is alone. I think especially in a situation where you're sitting alone in a building, it's really good to just let that frustration out and yell for a second, even if that's not going to change the situation. But to at least give yourself that moment of breaking out of that, and then you can reset and figure out a problem really well, which is what I think a lot of successful people are really good at, like Matt LaFleur as a coach.
Right. So he is trying to get a grasp on when not to blow up when things are out of his control and trying to calm that down a little bit. That's one of the things we take away. The other thing is the really human side of things that as fans you don't know unless somebody writes a piece like this. So Jeff Albrecht is the defensive coordinator for the Falcons. Former linebacker, I believe, has been a coach and a coordinator in the NFL for quite some time. His wife died, I believe it was at the beginning of this month, just a few days before Jordan Rodriguez got there from cancer. She was 48. And they have their own little running crew of coaches and wives and families that have been tightly knit for several years, right? That hit him hard. Has he lost people? Yes. But he's not lost people from his tight-knit friend group, peer group, and that really hurt. So now he wants to go to the funeral. So his idea is, okay, I'm going to get on a plane, go there, do the funeral, pay my respects, turn around, get back, and be back in time for training camp practice the next day. But very important that he gets there. Gets on the plane. Plane has a mechanical issue, never gets out. Misses the funeral, never gets to it. So now, this is the beginning of this month. This is like recently. This isn't just like last year, 2 years ago. This is just literally happening. So now he's got that hanging over his head about not being able to make it and having that going on all the time and hoping that his friend Jeff is all right and all of that. You don't realize this when you are watching on TV and you're screaming at Matt LaFleur to throw a challenge flag, or you're screaming at Matt LaFleur to go for it, or why did you kick the field goal then? None of that matters to you. You're a fan. Why would it matter? Doesn't matter to me. I'm reacting to what I'm seeing and doing a post-game show after the game, right? You don't think about that stuff. But when you read this type of stuff from Jordan Rodriguez in The Athletic, and you hear and you understand what the man is going through, there's a lot. And not only does he talk about that in here, and like I said before, it's a great piece. It's long, but it's really, really good. She sets up what his office looks like on the inside, all the screens, what everything has, everything does, so forth. Then you get into this a little bit more, and then they start talking about Jordan Love. And he starts talking about how good Jordan Love is. He also talks about Gannon in here. I don't care about that. But in this piece, he starts talking about Love. And remember, he caught flack the other day because he said Love did something better than Aaron Rodgers. And that was a whole big
better, like the pre-snap analysis and all that.
Right, yeah. Correct. And then he addressed it again. Didn't he address it again today, I think?
He did, yeah.
Yeah, so we'll play that coming up at 4 o'clock. Love talking about Matt LaFleur. Quote, I think he's done a great job of evolving. I think for him, he just wants me to be comfortable. He's always asking, tell me what you're comfortable with. Tell me what you're not comfortable with. Because at the end of the day, you're the one running the plays. I can call it, but if you don't feel comfortable running it, it's not going to be a good play. That makes so much common sense. And if you're listening, you're like, well, duh, of course, Sparky. Why are you reading that for? That's obvious. Man, you wouldn't understand or even fathom how many offensive coordinators do not communicate like that to their quarterbacks, especially the gray-haired ones that have been doing this for 40 years. They really don't care what the quarterback thinks. It's my system. I know what works. You do what I tell you to do, and this is how it's going to roll, and you'll be successful. You listen to me. And there is no counterpoint of, hey, man, how do you think we should do this? Hey, you got any ideas? What do you think we should do here? There's none of that. It's just, boom, my way or the highway. See ya, let's go. So for LaFleur to essentially kind of check the ego and say, what do you want to do, man? what works best for you. That's big. Now, dare I say, I'm going to give credit to Rodgers for this. I don't know what Matt LaFleur was like in Tennessee with Derrick Henry and with who was the horrible quarterback that he had in Tennessee?
Tannenhill and Mariota. Yes.
Mariota, yeah. So there he had Mariota. I don't know what he was like with Mariota either because he was super young. I think it might have been his rookie year. But so he had two really young guys there, okay? So when he gets to Green Bay and he has Rodgers is egomaniac. Like, we're going to do what I want to do, and you're just going to follow along and so forth. And there's that immediate, like, power struggle, and he's trying to figure out how to connect with this future Hall of Famer, knowing in the back of his head he was hired to coach Jordan Love. That's how he was going to be based, not hired to deal with this dude for the next 5 to 10 years. So he had to figure out how to share in the responsibility of what the offense was going to look like with Rodgers. I think that checked his ego enough to where now you get to the Jordan Love situation and you're like, Jordan, I want your input. What do you want to run? What do you feel comfortable with? I don't know if there is no Rodgers and he walks in and it's him and Love. I don't know if Love is given that same opportunity, Charlie.
Probably not as early. I think a lot of coaches, yes, you're right, they do try to dominate that offensive scheme a lot, especially if a quarterback is younger. But I also think if a quarterback plays within that system, he can earn the trust of the play caller and then make those types of decisions. And I think Jordan Love has been able to do that with Matt LaFleur too. I don't think in that first year of Jordan Love starting, Jordan Love had as much freedom to answer those types of questions as he does now within year 4. I think this is a big change for him as a starting quarterback and for Matt LaFleur as a head coach, even though he went through this with Aaron Rodgers a little bit. I think he had to learn how to kind of work with Aaron Rodgers because just trying to dominate Aaron Rodgers or letting Aaron Rodgers run everything wasn't going to work. That was not going to be the way that was going to make everybody happy around the team, around the front office. You can't work that way. So I think what Matt LaFleur did was learn that, but at the same time started off Jordan Love with his offense and got him into that and then saw that Jordan Love can work within that offense and can succeed within that offense. And then now how can we open it up? I trust him. I'm going to let him start telling me what he wants to do and what he wants to change because he's earned that trust so far. So I don't think it's just that he worked with Aaron Rodgers. I think that was just the natural progression of a lot of young quarterbacks who are starting to ascend throughout the National Football League.
The other thing that comes up in here is Jordan Love talking about other things concerning Matt LaFleur. I think for Matt as a head coach, you've got so much on your plate. Matt is the type, as a play caller, where he wants to be in control of what's going on and put us in the best situations. There are some times where you have got to just sit back and say, hey, I've coached the guys as much as I can. So, again, we're talking about trust in the players, trust in Love to do the right thing. In this piece, LaFleur talks about Love now. Quote, he's so cool. He's so bleeping cool. In fact, I like it when he bites back on me sometimes. Wait, what? But it doesn't happen often. He's a pretty level-headed dude, and what's cool about him is to see the success he's had, and he hasn't changed. His knowledge is off the charts. He's got great recall. I can't tell you how many times I can call something bad, and he'll fix it. He's just on that level now. That, to me, is why you extended Matt LaFleur. This here, read the piece. Read the relationship. That's why you kept them together, to let them take this to go win a Super Bowl together. That's why you kept it. If you get rid of Matt LaFleur and say, or let him be a lame duck coach, and then he walks and he'll be signed immediately within days of being let go. If you let that happen, now you're going to have a new head coach. Let's say the head coach is a defensive guy or a special teams guy. So now you're going to have a new coordinator. Now that coordinator and Jordan Love now have to build the chemistry and the trust between the two of them, and that takes at least 2 years probably before you get going back in the right direction. Now, in that time, are you still winning divisions, and do these guys still have their jobs in year 3 and year 4, or have they been fired and now we got to start over again? That is why I think it's huge. If you're Chicago, you never, ever, ever let Caleb Williams have somebody other than Ben Johnson as a play caller. That just should not be a thing. If Caleb Williams continues to grow and get better and better and better, then you pay Ben Johnson whatever you have to pay Ben Johnson to keep them together for the rest of their career. Plain and simple. You're not starting over, right? Same thing here with the Packers. You continue to let LaFleur and Love grow together and build on each other until you go win a Super Bowl and beyond. They're both young guys. I mean, LaFleur is really young. He's not retiring anytime soon. So you let those two guys build it and go together. This article right here is the proof for me that they made the right call on Matt LaFleur.
Yeah, I can see that this would give a lot of people confidence. I guess I read that quote, and sometimes again, it's fun to hear that they have that type of relationship for sure. But also then I question, when he says I can call something bad and he'll fix it, he's just on that level now. Is Jordan Love then going to the sideline and telling Matt LaFleur that he called that bad, or is he just fixing it and going under the radar and letting Matt LaFleur continue to do that all the time? Like, that's frustrating. Like, that's something that I hear. It's like, okay, I understand Jordan is starting to get to that point where he feels like he's going to take more control, but do it vocally too. Tell Matt LaFleur when he's wrong and get that type of relationship where you guys can actually have that conversation and not Matt LaFleur as the teacher just asking you all the time, hey, what should we do? Start telling him things that you want to do as the quarterback. Start telling him without Matt LaFleur asking, and get a more coworker relationship than a mentor to a player.
And I think when we play Matt LaFleur, you're going to hear LaFleur reference something along those lines from Jordan Love, where they were going over something, and Jordan Love made a comment, something about, what if we did it this way? And LaFleur's response was like, yeah, that's a really good idea. Let's do that, right? Where Love now is shouting out ideas and so forth and isn't worried about being told by LaFleur, I got it, dude. You're good. Like, just chill. I got this, right? Now Love feels comfortable enough in his own skin and dealing with LaFleur that he feels like he can give his ideas. Matt will listen and potentially run with some. That's a big part of this at the end of the day. Mike in Pewaukee, you're next on Wisconsin Sports Daily with me, Steve Sparky Pfeiffer. What's up, Mike?
Hey, Sparky. I'll just start off by saying I'm too reactionary, because when the Packers retained Matt LaFleur after the season, I was like, it's time for this dude to go, because, he's had 7 years, and yeah, we've been to 2 NFC championships and lost them both in kind of pathetic fashion. But what you just said, because I just got done voting, so I'm normally still at work right now.
Sure.
But you laid everything out, and I can't agree with you more, because it's not that I don't think Matt LaFleur is a good head coach. He absolutely is. I couldn't coach my way out of a wet paper bag. But simply from a fan standpoint, I am too reactionary. After losing to the Bears the way we did, I was like, how can you let that happen? But it just, what you said makes sense, and I do agree with it. And I agree with you. I'm glad that Matt LaFleur and Jordan Love are going to have at least a couple more years together. And I hope it comes, it comes to fruition that we get back to at least another NFC championship and hopefully a Super Bowl. So
let me ask you something, Mike. Mike, hold on. Let me ask you something.
Yeah.
So how old are you, Mike?
I am 54.
Perfect. So you're going to know what I'm talking about. If Holmgren doesn't leave, how many Super Bowls do they win?
I would believe they probably would have won one more. But, I don't know.
At least one more. Yeah. And Brett Favre never would have gotten out of the barn on Mike Sherman and decided he was going to do what he wanted to do at that point. You wouldn't have had the Ray Rhodes 500 year. Like, if you would have kept Holmgren and Favre together for that run, Favre's numbers would have been through the roof good, and they would have had way better opportunities to push this thing across the finish line. But his play caller left, his mentor left, and then it went sideways after that.
It did, and I would say I agree with most of what you just said. But as we all know, getting to a second Super Bowl is hard enough.
Yes.
Let alone, and you saw what happened, and I agree, because what you said is true. Mike Holmgren, he was already out the door when they were in that other Super Bowl, second Super Bowl. And, so absolutely, if he sticks around, and what Ron Wolf has always said, and he always regrets it, was giving the reins to Mike Holmgren as the GM too. And it's too bad that didn't happen. But I still liked Ron Wolf, and he took the team. He turned this team around, and so did. I don't think Bob Harlan gets enough credit. Well, he does, but he was the architect who said, I'm going to hire Bob Harlan, or I'm going to hire Mike Holmgren and Ron Wolf and Mike Holmgren and let them do their jobs, man. So I'm so glad he did that.
But, Mike, you said Holmgren got the GM, but that was actually Sherman. But my point is, another point to this, Mike, why wouldn't Ron tell Mike that he was going to retire in a couple of years before he left? Be like, hey, dude,
Good point.
I'm not here much longer. This is all yours. Just chill out. You can have this. I'm just going to do it for another year or two or I'm out. He didn't. Holmgren leaves, and immediately after Holmgren gets a Seattle job, he's like, yeah, I think I'm going to be done. Mike Sherman, here you go. Like, what? If you knew it was that close, why didn't you tell Holmgren, and then we could have kept Holmgren in Green Bay? That always has bothered me and never made much sense to me, unless there was some animosity there as far as a struggle for power goes. I don't know.
Right, and I just want to make it clear. I know that it was Mike Sherman that got it, but Ron Wolf said he wishes he would have told Mike Holmgren to stick around. Because I am a huge Packer fan, and I know everything that actually did transpire. And I just want to make it clear that I'm not as avid of a Brewer or Bucks fan, and things might get by me. But it's too bad that things happen, but everything happens for a reason. And I really hope Matt LaFleur and company get us at least back to another Super Bowl. But of course, what's the point of getting there if you're not going to win it? So
gotta win it. You got to win it, Mike. Yeah. Thanks for the call. Appreciate it. That was really, really good stuff there. Going back down memory lane with Mike in Pewaukee. They have to win a Super Bowl. They just do. Love needs it more than LaFleur. Love needs it more with this fan base to justify how good he really is. He needs it for the national media to give him the pat on the back that he rightfully deserves at this point to win a Super Bowl. He has to have it. He's being compared to two Hall of Famers before him. If he goes and wins a Super Bowl and puts up the numbers he put up last year going forward, they're going to start talking about him as a Hall of Famer if he wins a Super Bowl. That's where we're at right now. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from the Wisconsin State Fair inside the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Go check it out. 2,000 square feet, 2 levels of seating, full menu at the Potawatomi Sportsbook kitchen, plus all-day brunch, plus over 40 beers on tap, plus a dozen different specialty cocktails, plus homemade pastries and desserts. Check them out today at Potawatomi.com. Welcome back, Wisconsin Sports Daily. Live from the Wisconsin State Fair. See Sparky Fiber with you. Charlie Usen back in the studio. Thanks for hanging out with us here on a Tuesday. State Fair. Beautiful day outside, right? Sun is shining. A little bit of a breeze to cool you off so you're not too hot. Yesterday we saw, 2-3 people probably passed out getting wheeled out of here in some form or fashion. So definitely cooler out today, which is good. Don't forget, our friends from By the Yard are giving away a $2,000 in-store credit towards your purchase of 4 custom Adirondack chairs and 2 side tables. To register to win, simply stop by the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network booth right outside the Wisconsin State Fair Expo Center where we are set up across from the Milk House and scan the QR code. Plus, we still have free fans while supplies last. Out here to 5 o'clock today. Back out here tomorrow. Tomorrow we're going to be out here from noon until 8 p.m. Out at the Wisconsin State Fair. We'll have Mitch Thundernellis out here from noon to 2 for the Mason Crosby Show. Then I'll do the leadoff show from 2 until 3. Wisconsin Sports Daily from 3 until 6, or whenever the Brewers game gets done. And then we'll take the Potawatomi Sportsbook postgame show with Tim Allen, who will be out here at State Fair with me up until 8 o'clock tomorrow night. So looking forward to that. Hey, don't forget, summer's better with a Frosty in your hand for a limited time. Wendy's is giving you a sweet deal on your favorite summertime treat. A small classic Frosty for only $1. That's right. Summer should be fun, not expensive. Treat yourself and celebrate $1 Frosty summer at Wendy's. But hurry, because this deal is over when summer's gone. So get it while it's hot, or, cold, I guess you could say, in this instance. Coming up at the top of the next hour, it's time to talk about the Green and Gold, brought to you by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Matt LaFleur talked earlier today. Charlie Sounds of the Day is coming up next at 4:20. We'll do that, and then things we missed coming up at about 4:40 or so. It is Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from the Wisconsin State Fair inside the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky with you.
Some shows talk about one team. Other shows barely talk sports. This show will talk Packers, Brewers, and Bucks. Every day. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily with Steve Sparky Pfeiffer on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network.
It is that time again as we broadcast live from the Wisconsin State Fair here in West Allis, Wisconsin, inside the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Steve Sparky Pfeiffer with you, taking you up until 5 o'clock. Then it's Wisconsin Sports Wrap Up, the best of what happened today. Leadoff show, get you ready for Brewers Padres game 2 in San Diego tonight. I'll be your host for that tonight from 7:30 to 8:30. Then, for 21 years, he continues to do his thing. After the last pitch, you make the switch. Potawatomi Sportsbook postgame show tonight with the franchise, Tim Allen. He takes you up to 1 a.m. talking about game 2 between the Brewers and Padres here on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network. Okay, coming up this hour, Charlie Sounds of the day we had to move. So because we had to move it to 4:20, that does not change what we want to do here at 4 o'clock, because we always try to do Brewers, Bucks, Packers to a certain degree. Not as much Bucks right now because there's not a ton going on with the Milwaukee Bucks right now. There is some Giannis stuff, however, and things we missed. We'll jump into that. The NBA schedule, Christmas Day games, and the opening week. I can't wait to see where the Bucks play on all of these big schedule announcements today. We'll get into that in the last segment of the show, too. I hope they play like a Christmas night game. I don't like day games. And the Packers play this year on Christmas Day.
Perfect,
so I really hope the Bucks aren't playing opposite the Packers on Christmas Day. I'm going to be bummed if that's what happens, because then I'll have to be talking about both of them. I'm going to be like, Mike, we're going to talk about this, and then you're going to talk about that, and you're going to talk about that. And it's going to be too difficult.
Plenty of content, though. It'd be
crossing
good.
my fingers that Bucks don't play against the Packers on Christmas Day. We'll get into that in the last segment of the show. But let's do this.
It's time for your green and gold update on Wisconsin Sports Daily, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network with Steve Sparky Pfeiffer.
What's in that cup? Oh, damn.
What's in that cup?
I was hoping she wasn't going to show me what she showed me. Oh, man. Come walking up with a cup. I was like, that better not be my Mexican street corn that I love. That better not be. That better not be. She turns it over. It is. Man.
Have you ever had like the Mexican street corn with hot Cheetos crushed on top or something like that? Oh, it's so good.
No.
Why not?
I've never had it that way. No.
I'm not saying I would try it. But I just like
standard Wisconsin State Fair Mexican street corn. That's what I crave and I love, and it is so good here. Okay, let's talk about what Matt LaFleur had to say earlier today. Charlie, where would you like to go first?
All right, so first up, let's head on over to Matt LaFleur talking about his comment about Jordan Love on NFL Network, where he said he's one of the best, if not the best, quarterback he's ever worked with at pre-snap reads and adjustments. Here's him clarifying that and what Jordan Love's evolution was and what Aaron Rodgers used to do.
Matt, you mentioned yesterday at NFL Network that Jordan Love is the best you've ever been around when it comes to both line of scrimmage, protections, and things of that nature. When did you see that really take hold as far as going from really kind of studying under Aaron to really mastering what he's working with?
Yeah, I think it was definitely a process that's just evolved over time. I mean, he is so in tune with everything we're doing. And shoot, it happened today where he's in there and we're talking about different looks about what you could do. And he said something that I hadn't thought of, and I was like, oh yeah, that's pretty good. So I think he's really grown in that facet, and he has complete command at the line of scrimmage. And then he trusts everything that we talk about in that room, and he goes out there and executes it.
That's what we were talking about earlier. That's what we were talking about earlier with Matt LaFleur, as far as those two guys being on the same page. Jordan Love being comfortable with making suggestions to Matt LaFleur and not getting shut down because he's the quarterback and Matt LaFleur is the head coach. That relationship, that chemistry that has been built over the course of the last 3 or 4 years is a big, big deal, I think, for this Packers team going forward. Everybody that says this team is going to compete for a Super Bowl and take that next step, yes, the biggest key is going to be this offensive line protecting your quarterback. But providing that happens, this offense, sky's the limit for this offense. I'm telling you right now, they could have a gigantic year, but it's going to be about the offensive line protecting Jordan Love. It's not going to be about Jordan Love itself. All right, Charlie, where to next with Matt LaFleur?
We were talking about relationships between Matt LaFleur and Jordan Love. Let's talk about a relationship between Jordan Love and the backup quarterback, Tyrod Taylor.
Yeah, it's been great. I mean, you can't help but not like Tyrod Taylor. I mean, he is a G. He's a great dude, really good football player.
Matt LaFleur just called him a G?
You know, he's awesome to have in that room.
That's why I wanted to play it.
Matt LaFleur called that dude a G. Can he do that? Is that
I
all
think
right?
so.
That
Yeah.
just seems weird to me, man. Like, I don't know.
I'm
I
sure
guess.
my guess would be that Tyrod Taylor at some point called himself a G, and that's Matt LaFleur kind of goofing with him on it. And
So you
that's a
don't
big
think
deal.
Matt LaFleur went up to Tyrod Taylor and said, man, you're a G. You
No,
don't think
I
that
feel
happened?
like Tyrod Taylor at some point called himself the OG, or I'm the G, and then Matt LaFleur making fun of him has called him the G now too on the other side. I don't think he said that on his own. No.
Yeah, it's all either way. Tyrod Taylor, I wasn't a big fan of when they brought him in, if we're being honest. I wanted to have somebody a little bit different. But Tyrod Taylor is a huge asset for this Packers team. Why? Because he can be an extension of the coaching staff with Matt LaFleur. He can watch film on the sidelines with Jordan Love and potentially point something out that Jordan Love doesn't see. Or, hey, you can take advantage of this here. They keep showing you this look. Take advantage of it the next time we run this play. That's the type of stuff that you want. That's what Doug Peterson did for Brett Favre for all those years. Yeah, they were hunting buddies and old guys and all that. But he was able to continuously show him stuff that maybe he was missing. And in this instance here with Tyrod Taylor, it can be the same thing. Tyrod Taylor's not a Hall of Famer. Tyrod Taylor's not a great quarterback. But Tyrod Taylor has seen every freaking NFL defense and look that you're going to see in the National Football League at this point. 15, 16 years in the league. He's seen it all. So all he can do is benefit Jordan Love. Now, if Jordan Love goes out, which he has each of the last couple of years he's been a starter, he has yet to play a full season of games. So if he goes out for a game or two, can Tyrod Taylor win you a game or two? Yes. If he goes out for like a half a season, it's over. So as long as we're all on the same page here about what Tyrod Taylor expectations are if he gets in there, for me, it's more about his ability to help him look at film and do different things like that. I think that's where his value is more than just as a quarterback itself.
I think I'm with you on that. I also think Tyrod Taylor's an underrated backup quarterback. I think he can keep you afloat as long as you have other parts of your team healthy throughout that half a season. I think this is still a playoff team if Tyrod Taylor's at quarterback. I think Matt LaFleur is a coach who has shown he can figure it out with basically anybody back there.
No, they're not. I don't think I'm with you on the Tyrod Taylor playoff team thing. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe we see it happen and he plays 6 or 8 weeks and they're 6-2. And then I'm like, okay, I was wrong.
Well, you don't even have to be. I think
great.
you would just keep him afloat. That's what you need out of him. And that keeps you alive throughout that time. And then Jordan Love plays the other half of the season with.
No. What I'm saying is you get to like week 8 and then Love's gone for the rest of the year. And now it's Tyrod Taylor's team to lead the rest of the way.
Well, hopefully by week 8, you're already 6-2. Maybe at that point, and then Tyrod Taylor again keeps you afloat for the rest of the year and goes 500, and you can still make a playoff spot.
Nobody will ever accuse Charlie Houston of not being an optimistic person. Like it's not freaking possible. It's just not possible. All right, what else you got?
Next up, I wanted to hear Matt LaFleur discussing the challenge flag and the changes the NFL is making to the challenge.
I probably should give it up based on past actions. So no, I'll probably hold the challenge flag.
Do you feel good about your process? I mean, obviously Connor's really been good for you.
Yeah, I think yes. Where it gets challenging is if you leave, and go to the if you go talk to the quarterbacks or receivers or whoever, somebody on offense when the defense is out there and you have a bang bang play, but Connor's usually in my ear, and then you just have to have urgency to get up there and throw the flag.
I don't see why any head coach worth their salt is going to give up throwing a red flag. The amount of ego that would have to be checked at the door to give up that process, which is, in my opinion, a very critical process that the head coach has, to take that away and go, here you go, Charlie. You're in charge of it. Don't blow it. And if you do, I'm going to make sure everybody knows you're the one that made that decision and not me. It's a complete scapegoat thing as far as I'm concerned. If you're going to give it up, then you're saying, I don't want the pressure. I don't want to be in charge of it. So if this goes sideways, they can yell at Charlie over here, and I'm free and cleared. It ain't my fault. No more yelling at me about it. To me, I would if I was a general manager, I would question how much my head coach wants to be a head coach if he gives up throwing the red flag.
I don't know if I would go that far.
Yeah.
I think from the guy that would take that position's perspective, if I'm a young coach in the league trying to make a name for myself, if I could be the best challenge thrower in the entire league and people recognize me for that and see that I can read the field and read plays and recognize it. Yeah, I think that could be a really cool thing, man. Like, that's something that I think a young coach could take advantage of in that situation. That'd be awesome. Why not? Try to find a niche anywhere, and I think that gives you a name in the league and helps teams analyze you as a coach better.
Hey, so what do you do for a living? You're kind of cute. I'm the best challenge thrower in the NFL.
Best challenge thrower that's probably making more than most guys. So
can we go on a date? Can you get me a steak dinner? Best challenge thrower?
Yes, he can, because he's still an NFL coach, man. Yes, he can.
Get out of here, best challenge thrower. I mean, it could very well end up becoming a position in the NFL with this new rule. But I'm just saying, like, there is just, if it were me, and if it was Mike Holmgren and some of these other egomaniacs, there's no way they're giving that up. And I just can't see Matt LaFleur giving up that ability and saying, yeah, you throw the challenge flag when you think it's necessary. I'm not going to worry about it anymore. I just don't see that happening with LaFleur at all. Hey, I want to get a couple text messages in here. Then we'll get to Charlie's sounds of the day coming up. This one is pretty funny from the 920. Good afternoon, Charlie and Sparky. First time texting in. Wanted to reach out and give Charlie some props. For a Cubs fan to hide his bias while still offering great Brewers insight is an accomplishment for sure. I hate the Cubs. I couldn't even pretend that I don't. Great show, boys. Keep it up. Phil in Appleton.
Well, it helps that I still also love the Brewers very much.
He was rooting for the Brewers last year in the playoffs.
Both of these teams, man, I love watching. I just like watching baseball. I grew up going to Brewers games. Yes, my dad raised me as a Chicago sports fan. I'm telling you, like, I just love watching sports. So I'm willing to talk about any team as fairly as possible. I appreciate that, Phil.
I have another one here that came in from earlier from the 414 talking about Matt LaFleur was hired to coach Jordan Love. He says he was hired to coach Jordan Love, who wasn't even on the team, ? Yes. Yes, he was. That is correct. He was not hired. Let me say this again. He was not hired to coach Aaron Rodgers for the next 10 years. When they were going through that process, they were trying to figure out who was going to be the next quarterback because Rodgers was on the decline for the 2 previous years, and they were trying to figure out who the next guy was going to be and how can you win with the Green Bay Packers if we don't have a Hall of Fame quarterback? How do we sustain being competitive at a high level? And LaFleur's answers and his system is what got him that job. So, yes, that's exactly what happened for sure. Another one from the 414, same person. This is the person that likes to act like they know everything. And it's every day. It's every single day. They come in with like 100 things. Uline started in the basement of Liz and Dick Uline in Lake Forest, Illinois. That may be. That very well may be. But right now they're in Kenosha, and I got confirmation from multiple people that she is very involved with the Kenosha Country Club and making donations to that and so forth. That's where a majority of their buildings are, as well as in Kenosha. So regardless of where it started, whether it be in Lake Forest or otherwise, they're in your state. How in the world? Now, again, I know McIntosh. I don't know what he was doing. We heard from numerous people, right? Who was that guy? Big Cat or whatever from Barstool, talking about how he reached out to them to give them money, and they never even called him back.
And now all of a sudden when McIntosh is gone, Big Cat's helping out with Wisconsin again.
So I'm really not all that shocked that they don't have that money. But my God, they're in your state. Like, figure out a relationship and get in front of this lady, Liz, and see if you can get some money. Not even saying that you didn't get $35 million. She gave $35 million to Northwestern today. $35 million. Just, here you go. Enjoy yourself. Hey, over here, hello, we need some too, right? At Northwestern, you know how much money from Northwestern graduates there probably are that can help that university out? Come on.
They're doing all right, yeah.
Over here in Madison, we could use some too. That's all
Madison
I'm saying.
Graduates are doing all right too.
Well, they don't have enough of them giving money to the university. That much we do know for sure at this point. So That's something else to consider. Another one here from Scott is, Sparky, the Brewers call up Madej or Fisher. Isn't it true that they can't go back to the minors if there is a lockout in 27? Isn't that part of the thinking? That's from Scott. I went and I looked this up because I also wanted clarification. This is what I found. Yes, a minor leaguer called up in 26 can generally still play in the minor leagues during a 2027 MLB lockout, provided that they are not on an MLB 40-man roster that is restricted by the labor dispute. Minor League Baseball operates under a separate collective bargaining agreement and typically continues playing independently. That is correct. They will play. So if you're a Timber Rattlers fan, you will have Timber Rattler baseball next year, even if the Brewers don't play. You can still go watch their prospects play at Wisconsin or in Biloxi or in Nashville. So Fisher will still be playing. Madej will still be playing. All those guys will still be playing, even if the Brewers don't play at all next season. So I hope that answers your question on that one. Coming up next, Charlie's Sounds of the Day here on Wisconsin Sports Daily. Steve Sparky Pfeiffer with you live from the Wisconsin State Fair inside the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Wisconsin Sports Daily. We are live out here at the Wisconsin State Fair. Come hang out with us. We're out here until 5 o'clock today. Tomorrow, out here from noon until 8 p.m. The Mason Crosby Show out here from noon until 2 tomorrow. Mitch Thunder Nellis will be here for that show. I'll be out here with the leadoff show getting ready for Brewers and Padres Game 3 tomorrow from 2 until 3. Then I'll do my show up until the Brewers game is done. Then Tim Allen will join me out here at the Wisconsin State Fair for the Potawatomi Sportsbook post-game show. We'll take that up until 8 o'clock tomorrow night out here at the fair. And when you come out here at the fair, make sure to take advantage and scan that QR code. It's day 6, and our friends from By the Yard are giving away a $2,000 in-store credit towards your purchase of 4 custom Adirondack chairs and 2 side tables. To register to win, simply stop by the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network booth right outside the Wisconsin State Expo Center, right across from the Milk House, and scan the QR code. Plus, we have free fans while supplies last. Still got a few fans left here if you want to come out and check that out. Again, I've been giving them to kids. They're fans, but they pop open like nylon, and they can use them as like Frisbees, and the kids get all super excited, and hopefully the State Fair doesn't yell at us for them throwing them all around State Fair. But
there's plenty of other toys floating around State Fair that I think are being thrown just like the Frisbee, so it wouldn't just be you getting yelled at.
Exactly. Normally at 3:20 we do this segment, but today we're doing it at about 4:20.
What sound clips will Chicago Charlie pick today for Sparky? Will Sparky become enraged? Will laughter ensue? It's time for Charlie's Sound of the Day. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network.
All right, Charlie, where to first?
All right, so first up, we're going to head on over to First Take, where everybody but Stephen A. Smith was on today.
Good, better show.
This is Jason McCourty on First Take, and he was discussing the Packers without Micah Parsons and expectations for the team.
In order for us to consider them contenders, like you have to prove to us you can win a game without Micah Parsons. And I don't think it's just on the defensive side of the ball. Like when you see that full screen, they went from about 25 points a game to 19 points per game. So that has to do with the offense and obviously the defense not getting stops, turnovers, and different things of that nature. But if Micah Parsons isn't going to be out there on the field, who's stepping up for them? There's a lot of guys on this team that the average viewer is going to hear names like Lucas Van Ness and say, well, who is that? Barron Sorrell, who are these guys that are going to have to make plays and find ways to get to the quarterback? Because this isn't a team where the roster has drastically improved from a year ago to this year. They've switched defensive coordinators. John Gannon takes over. And now this coaching staff is responsible with building a team knowing Micah Parsons isn't going to be there for the first few weeks that can actually go out there and compete. But I'm looking not only at them, Jordan Love, like what are you going to do in this essence to step up and lead this team on the offensive side of the ball to score points and do the things necessary? 2 receivers left, Dontavian Wicks. They also had Romeo Doubs leave in free agency and join the New England Patriots. So now for Jordan Love, you have to take responsibility of this offense. Take the next step. Be an MVP candidate.
Stop this. I'm done.
What do you
shut
mean?
him off. I'm so done with this. This is the stupid crap. This is why people that watch these national shows in their house, this is why people like McCourty get discredited by local fan bases, because you're on TV discrediting what happened in the second half of the year without talking about any of the actual facts outside of the fact that Micah Parsons was hurt. You don't talk about Tucker Kraft. You don't talk about the injuries on the offensive line. You don't talk about anything other than, well, Jordan Love's got to step up and he's got to do better. You talk about nothing that happened. And you don't talk about the fact that he was a top 7 quarterback in the league last year. You don't bring that up either. But instead, you turn it around and pull, that's on you, Jordan. That's why you didn't win without Micah Parsons. Man, screw you. Just please, if you're going to go on national TV, Mr. McCourty, I know you played in the NFL, but please have your facts if you're going to go on the air and talk about the Green Bay Packers instead of leading everybody down a different path that is a total crock of crap. All right, what's next?
This one I think will make you feel a little bit better, Sparky. This is Evan Altman of Cubs Insider. He was on the Score Chicago, and he was discussing the Cubs.
Evan Altman?
Yes.
Okay.
He was discussing the Cubs' chances of catching the Brewers this season.
Do you believe the Cubs will catch the Brewers in the National League Central?
No, if only because the Brewers just don't stop. The Cubs will gain a game or two, and then the Brewers will just climb right back, and it's one of those where I think the Cubs will gain ground on them. They they could theoretically, if they gain a game a week throughout the rest of the season, they'll catch them. But I don't know that that's possible just with the Brewers just aren't slowing down. And I think the thing that's really working against the Cubs right now is the fact that the rest of the division has really fallen off. And so those two teams do still have 7 games against one another. That's going to be what does it. And I mean, the Cubs really have to go and win 6 out of 7 to make that happen.
Wow.
And it's so difficult. Pat Hughes will tell you every time, right? Usually when it comes to the Cardinals, when you think about those two rivals, how often does one really get the better of another over a 7-game stretch?
That's a great point.
It's going to be tough.
There's no chance.
No
There's-
shot.
Now, maybe if you ask Brandon Snide 9 to noon, maybe he'd think they could lose 6 or 7. But I'm telling you right now, they are not winning 6 or 7 against the Brewers. And I think Evan Altman, if that's what you said his name was, I think he's got it figured out. Like, the Brewers just don't give you the opportunity to seize any type of momentum because they just win too much. They've lost 1 series since the All-Star break. 1. That was the Giants. That's the only series they've lost. And if you listen to Brewers fans, you would think they've lost all of them but 1 to this point. So they are doing what they're supposed to be doing, and they're doing it with a crappy offense here in the month of August, where literally everybody but like 2 guys are hitting under 200 in the month of August, and they're still winning games, and they're still winning series. They lose last night, a game they should have won. A pitch didn't go in the right spot for Henderson. They wanted it low and away. He put it down the middle. Jackson Merrill crushed it. You lose. Fine. Now you come back tonight, and you're in a situation tonight to drill Walker Buehler for 5 or 6 runs at least. Kyle Harrison pitches well. You win tonight. Now you have an opportunity to win the series tomorrow with Dustin May on the mound, and you feel good about yourself. Then it's 4 against the Dodgers. Win 2, 4 and 3 on the road trip. That's a success. No chance the Cubs can make up a ton of ground in that situation. And you move forward, and this is your last, I think, this is your last West Coast trip of the year. And for certain, you don't have any more 17-game stretches without a day off. That's then done too, and you got through the toughest part of your schedule. So Brewers are fine. I'm not going to sit here and be panicked over the Cubs by any stretch of the imagination.
And last up here, we're going to head on over to foul territory where pitching ninja Rob Friedman was on there discussing Jacob Mizorowski potentially trying to hit 106.
Excellent question. I mean, if you look at somebody like we all go back, how hard did Nolan Ryan throw? People say whatever. He threw hard for a long time. There are guys who throw hard for a long time, but there are also guys who don't. And, to me, chasing 106 while you'd go down in history, is it worth it to risk injury? Probably not. But if you're a competitor, you want to be the best at whatever you do. The one thing I noticed, though, I had a stat today that I tweeted out. If you look at his slugging against fastballs over 100 versus fastballs under 100, it is huge difference. I mean, we're talking about like 170 slug on fastballs over 100 and 500 slug on fastballs under 100. So his velo does matter. He does want to throw hard. But then again, is it part of you hit? You get accustomed if you're seeing it all the time. And then a 99 looks slow, but a 99 could look really fast if you settle at a different level.
I didn't think that was going to bother you.
It didn't bother me. I got distracted.
Oh, okay.
I got a message from the Brewers on their latest transaction they just did. I really could never do what Matt Arnold does. The roster maneuvering and stuff that they do is amazing. Let's do a brief history lesson, shall we? Can we do a brief history lesson here?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's see. Let's go back. Where are we? Right here. Saturday, 2:00 in the afternoon. Bryce Wilson designated for assignment, Brewers pitcher. Saturday, 2:05. Then we get a message yesterday at 2:52. Bryce Wilson cleared waivers, optioned to AAA Nashville, and elected free agency.
Yep.
Now, what do you think that means?
That means he's going to be a free agent. It's see you later, Bryce Wilson. We'll see you maybe in a few years when they pick you up again. Yeah.
That's using common sense and using your brain.
Right.
And then there's the Brewers. Drew Rom, another guy that was here for a cup of coffee. The Athletics picked him up off of waivers, so he's gone. Lyon Richardson, who literally made one appearance yesterday, who they brought up from AAA Nashville, And we literally had a text message on the post-game show last night to Tim and I. I'm like, you won't see him again. He'll be gone tomorrow. And I was like, come on, man. He pitched 5. They're not just going to get rid of him tomorrow or whatever. He's gone. So Lyon Richardson designated for assignment. And if I'm being honest, I didn't like him. Did you see the game at all last night when he came in?
Yeah, I did see that.
This cat here is out of the bullpen with a sucker in his mouth, pitching. Then he doesn't take the damn thing out. He comes out onto the field. And because nobody knows who he is, that's why I didn't make Sports Center. He comes out onto the field, and they tell him, hey, you got to take that out of your mouth. You can't pitch that within your mouth. Okay. Dude, his jersey was down, open to his navel almost, out on the mound. I was like, I don't like this cat. Like, I don't care what he looks like. I don't like this dude. We can be done with this guy. And now we're done with him. So it was nice seeing you, Lyon Richardson. Good luck in your future endeavors.
Maybe that was part of their decision. Maybe they didn't like him either. They didn't like his vibe at all.
Hold on. So Lyon Richardson designated for assignment.
Right.
Okay. Right. But Bryce Wilson, they signed to a 1-year contract, and he's back on the roster. Oh, my God.
What was the point of all of this?
I don't understand.
Did you just feel like doing more moves, having fun, messing around? You guys got bored partway through the season here? Like, what happened?
I'm guessing Bryce Wilson knew this was all going to play out, right? So on Saturday, they're like, hey, look, this is the things that we're going to do, and this is what the end game is going to be. You good? And he was like, okay. And they do all the mechanisms to get to this point and to get him the deal. Because they're rotating through bullpen arms left and right here because they're playing with a 6-man rotation. So they've got to go through this nonsense in order to do it. So Bryce Wilson is back with your Milwaukee Brewers on a 1-year deal just like that.
Can he get cut again now? Just do this all over again?
I don't know. I'm so confused by this.
Is this going to be a constant for the rest of the season, these next couple of weeks, that's going to happen?
Yeah,
they're just going to keep releasing pitchers and re-signing them or re-signing other guys. That feels like just such a waste of time for everybody in the front office.
Yes. Waste of time would be the accurate description of that. Waste of time for sure. That's all you've got, right, for Charlie Sons today? Habish, and Rotier, baby. Plead the 5th. Friday comes up every Friday at 4:20. Your chance to tell somebody just to hush it up. You're embarrassing yourself. You're saying too much. Just plead the 5th. We do it each and every Friday at 4:20, brought to you by Habish, and Rotier, helping injured Wisconsinites all over Wisconsin since 1930. 13 locations across Wisconsin. One probably right there in your own backyard. Wausau, Green Bay, Appleton, Madison, southeastern Wisconsin. They're here to help you. National reputation, hometown service. National reputation, they win a lot. Hometown service because they're approachable. They're like a friend or a family member that are going to listen to you. They're going to sympathize with you, and they're going to try and help you get the most of what you can get. And they're going to give you the steps and the ways of how you're going to go from point A to point B to point C and how the process is going to play out. And when you're in that situation, like I've talked about before, as I was, you are not really in the right frame of mind mentally. Like you've got a lot going on, and you don't know which way is up. And to have a group of people or 1 or 2 people, whatever, be able to sit you down and show you the path and calm you down and direct your energy towards the right way of going is everything. Habish, and Rotier, national reputation, hometown service. Check them out today at habish.com. Things that we missed on today's show coming up next. Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from the Wisconsin State Fair inside the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. How are we all doing here on a Tuesday? Time just does not stop, does it? You just keep on moving and moving and moving. And the next thing you know, it's September. The next thing you know, the Badgers are playing Notre Dame at Lambeau Field. The Packers are kicking off their season against Kyler Murray.
Why is that so funny to you?
Oh, he's so bad. I really don't understand what the Vikings are doing.
JJ McCarthy must be worse.
No way. There's no way.
What do you mean no way? We've seen JJ McCarthy play football too.
I do not care. I do not care. There is no way, based on everything that I've seen on social media and everything coming through, that dude outplayed him to the point where it's close enough or a big enough distance where it's like, yeah, we're just going to make the call now. Kyler Murray is starting week 1. And you should have just made the call before training camp even started, because Kyler Murray has been god-awful from everything I've read to this point. And now you're giving him the job because you made the trade for him. When in reality, that was never an open competition with J.J. McCarthy, which I think J.J. McCarthy knew as well. And I'm not saying J.J. McCarthy is any good by any stretch of the imagination, but I'm saying Kyler Murray sucks. So now that's going to be your quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings going forward. Well, congratulations. Good luck to you. You do have the quarterback whisperer in Kevin O'Connell. So if anybody can fix Kyler Murray, it's probably Kevin O'Connell at this point. I'm not going to sit here and argue with you about how good he is. We know how good he is. But I literally laughed out loud. When I saw that today, I was like, oh, my God, what are we doing in Minnesota? All right, another thing that I definitely wanted to get into as well is the NBA put out some scheduled events today as well. Now, there is no Giannis anymore for the Milwaukee Bucks, so you realize that, you know, it's going to be different going forward with the Milwaukee Bucks. The Milwaukee Bucks may not have the primetime games that they used to have and so forth going forward. Let's talk about what we do know. Triple header to open the season. I want you to search something for me quick over on your side, okay? Put in, is Tuesday, October 20th a holiday? Is Tuesday, October 20th a holiday? That's what I would like to know from Google.
Community Media Day.
So no.
International Adjust Your Chair Day.
Oh.
International Chef's Day. International Sloth Day.
Sloth Day. Okay.
There you go.
All right.
National
all right,
Brandied Fruit Day.
Ooh, brandied
World
cherries.
Osteoporosis Day.
Yikes. Okay, so really nothing, right?
No.
Can you explain to me
why
the NBA decided to have the first game of the season on the triple header to be at 2 p.m. on a Tuesday?
Because they're trying to be the NFL like they do with every single other thing that they do. Yeah.
The NFL does not kick off on a Tuesday afternoon.
No, the NFL, though, kicks off their season as early as possible in the day, and I think that's what they're trying to do, too.
No. They kick off on prime time on a Thursday.
That first game, but then the day after is
on a Wednesday.
With that first Sunday, that first opening day of the NFL season, truly outside of the random first game on that Thursday or Friday or Saturday, they have the games going all day. That's what the NBA is trying to do, is have their games go all day on that first opening day.
Charlie, Sunday is a day where most people don't work.
Mm-hmm.
You are putting this at 2 p.m. on a Tuesday.
They can't put it on Sunday.
A lot of people are working at 2 p.m. Like, just start your first game at 6 o'clock at night. Hell, if you want to be, a little crazy, start at 5 Central Time, 6 Eastern, and see what happens there. 2 p.m. And it is Boston and the Pistons, which should be a really good basketball game that nobody's going to watch. Then you get to the 6 o'clock game. The 76ers and the Knicks. That's going to be a great game. That's at 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock Eastern. Then the game after that, OKC and San Antonio, 8:30. That also is going to be a great game. So all three are good games. Unfortunately, nobody's going to see Boston and Detroit.
Or maybe they're hoping to make it their day and saying, hey, maybe people will take off for the first day of the NBA season. That's what they do for March Madness.
Stop. Nobody's taking off work.
People do that for opening day of baseball.
See, listening on the radio, you can't see the glare I just gave Charlie through the video screen as we are streaming this thing at WI Sports Radio. You can't see it. But you can rewind it and go back and watch later on YouTube or on X at WI Sports Radio and see the glare I just gave him. So that is Tuesday, October 20th. Wednesday, October 21st, the national games. Minnesota and Miami, 6:30 tip in Miami. Then a 9 o'clock tip, Golden State and the Lakers. Why?
What do you mean, why? What's wrong with that?
Are the Lakers going to be good? And somebody didn't tell me.
Luka Doncic, yeah.
That's it.
As long as you have him, that's made
else.
a competitive team every year of his career.
No, that's garbage. No, they have just as much right of being on national TV as we do at this point. That's a horrible team. Then Thursday, October 22nd, Cleveland at the 76ers. That's a good matchup, right? And then you have Denver and OKC at 8:30 on Thursday, October 22nd. Fine. Friday, October 23rd, New York and Boston on Amazon Prime. And then the Rockets and San Antonio on Amazon Prime. A lot of good matchups. I don't get the Lakers Golden State matchup.
It's Luka Doncic, and even if the team's not going to be good, you want to sell that game, and he's one of the most popular players in the NBA, no matter what, in one of the most popular markets.
Right. So the Tyler Hero star did not get the Bucks on national TV.
Oh shoot!
His star was not shiny enough to get the Bucks on national TV for the first couple of games, but that's okay.
Jericho Sims breaks out. They'll get on national TV.
Because really, it's not about opening day. It's about who's playing on Christmas in the NBA. That's really what it's all about. Now, I told you earlier, I just don't want the Bucks on Christmas Day opposite the Packers because the Packers are playing the Bears on Christmas Day. So just don't want the Bucks opposite the Packer Bears on Christmas Day. All right, let's see what we got for the Christmas schedule. 11 o'clock tip-off early. That's a horrible time. I hate that. Now, I will say that a lot of people open their gifts really early. We're not one of them. We make our kids suffer until noon, 1 o'clock before they can open theirs because we go to church, we eat, all that. Then we let them open them. So 11 a.m., San Antonio and the Knicks. Good game. 1:30 tip, Miami and Boston. Providing Giannis is still healthy, that could be a good basketball game. Still no Bucks, though. Stay tuned. 4 o'clock tip. The 76ers and the garbage Lakers. Again, they have no business. None whatsoever.
But it's LeBron's old team. They're going to put it
old team. Not the current team. Old team.
Yeah, it's the storyline. They want the storylines.
Nope. They should not be on national TV. OKC at Minnesota, 7 o'clock tip. And then Denver and Golden State, 9:30 tip for Christmas Day. No Milwaukee Bucks.
Did you think they were going to be on Christmas Day? Are you really that shocked over there?
I don't understand.
What do you mean you don't understand?
They've been talking about the Bucks nonstop for all these years, trying to get Giannis the hell out of Milwaukee for all these years. Now they got him out of Milwaukee, and now what? You just throw us down in the basement and shut the door and forget that we exist in the NBA?
That's exactly
is that what's happening?
That is exactly what they're going to do. That's what everybody has been worried about when talking about the Milwaukee Bucks. Like, unless you're a diehard fan, a lot of people aren't going to be talking about the Milwaukee Bucks. You don't this is going to be a pretty dismal time nationally for the Milwaukee Bucks.
Shouldn't you prop this organization up and help them with the glow and the shine going forward? Shouldn't that be the play?
Why would we do that when Luka Doncic is in LA and we can prop that up instead when they're a struggling franchise right now? Sparky, come on. Think with your brain.
How much did Luka average last year? Now, again, Luka was with LeBron last year, obviously, right? That's part of it. Anthony Davis is not with the Lakers, by the way. He's still in Washington with those. Why aren't the Wizards in any of these games? Trae Young, Anthony Davis, number one pick. How are they not in any of these national games? The Wizards should have been in one of these games in place of the Lakers. No question it should have been the Wizards. And it's DC. It's a gigantic market. They got hosed in that situation. Ooh. What did Luka average last year?
He averaged 33.5 points, 8 in the third, or 8.3 rebounds, and 1.6 steals.
I'll say that Tyler Hero
8.3 assists as well.
Okay. I'll say Tyler Hero, prior to getting traded, is going to average 25 points a night, 5 assists, and 6 rebounds.
You think he's going to be that
25,
good?
6, and 5. He's going to take 100 shots.
You've been talking so down on him. There's no way.
The percentage was going to be good, but they have – who else? Who else?
Ryan Rounds, who was taking 100 shots last year. Kevin Porter Jr. still on his team is going to take 100 shots. Nope. Everybody's going to want to take their shots. That's the beauty of this team is you're going to have a bunch of players trying to make a name for themselves, even if Tyler Hero is supposedly the number one guy.
If I'm Taylor Jenkins, everything goes through Tyler Hero. Our goal is not wins and losses. Our goal is to get his stock as high as possible.
Find out what people have on the rest of your team too, though. You got to find out what you have otherwise. You're going to give other people opportunities too, yeah.
Sure, when he's on the bench for 3 minutes a night. But he's playing every other damn minute of every game going forward. And I need to get a first-round pick in that deal for Tyler Hero. That is the only goal I have this year. And obviously I want to see Burries develop and Ament develop. That would be nice. See if they can get Khalil Ware to be serviceable so he doesn't have to fall out of the rotation every other week like he did in Miami. Like, that would be good. I'd love to get Miles Turner traded off this team, but I have little to any hope that he's going to get any
don't
better.
you want him to take more shots?
No, because I don't think he's that good. But I think Tyler Hero can get, 15 to 20 shots a night, get you about 25 points, and then send his little booty out to another team and get a first-round pick in 27. I don't care if the first-round pick in 27 is pick 26 in the first round, but they've got to get themselves a first-round pick in this draft coming up. That's all this season should be about, is having a monster year out of him and then moving him at the NBA trade deadline. If you're playing music, I can't hear it because it's so loud.
I just started playing it right now.
That's good. So just tell me as we get closer. Okay. All right, that'll wrap it up for Wisconsin Sports Daily. Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget, Wisconsin State Fair, baby. This is where you got to be. We're out of here tomorrow. Mitch Thunder Nellis from noon to 2. I'll be out here with the leadoff show 2 to 3. Then doing Wisconsin Sports Daily to the postgame show starts with Tim Allen. He'll be out here until 8 o'clock tomorrow night. All day at the fair tomorrow. Tonight, leadoff show at 7:30 before Brewers Padres. Post-game show after with Tim Allen and myself until 1 a.m. tonight. A game 2 win. I'm calling it a win tonight for the Brewers. Enjoy the rest of your night. Have a good one.